Are we here? Are we all good? We are. Welcome in,
I'm indeed
everyone.
alive.
We are.
Welcome back to another adventure in space with Comet Tales. I am your host, Oliver Oswald, joined by several amazing individuals who make this story possible. Today, we have Maris and Lily are conjoined. They are using the same microphone, so we are going to have them introduce themselves together. Let's start with Maris.
Hello, yes, I am the first half of the Maris Lily double feature. I'm Maris, and ordinarily I am a story time literature loving streamer. We do comfy cozy streams. However, we are currently on a bit of a hiatus due to unprecedented circumstances, aka I broke my ankle and can no longer reach my streaming setup. So hence I am here on the same floor as Lily, sharing a mic, and yeah, but I'm happy to be here playing D&D with my buddies. So
We're
yeah.
so glad to have you back. I hope you get some rest soon and you recover well. Lily.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello. My name is Lily. Excited to be here. Having a good time. We are making it through this lovely time. I broke my toe.
No way. What?
It's not that bad. I promise.
That sounds pretty
I did break
bad.
my.
So we're a mess, is what she's trying to say.
But I broke my toe 2 weeks ago, and it's only like a 4-week recovery generally for broken toes, so I'm okay. I'm doing fine, but yeah, so we're hanging in there. In regards to me, I'm just a little amateur artist and D&D lover. I'm on Blue Sky and Tumblr. Socials are my name, Lily Faywood. So if you want to see any of that stuff, I draw characters, D&D characters, and just general stuff. Yeah, that's me.
Yes, you.
Very nice. Up next, we have Zuza, also known as Peculiar Little Rabbit, and Bee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peculiar Little Rabbit, Beatrix Funny, and sometimes Auntie Griselda if I'm feeling like being a horny middle-aged auntie goblin. Normally I stream roguelikes, RPGs, and digital artwork, but today I actually have something a little different, a little bigger to promo. In 1 week's time, I'm going to be celebrating my streamiversary as well as doing my 3rd annual charity donathon for the nonprofit Operation Hammond. It's a medical service and first response team that services nerd events, so like anime cons, game expos, hyperfixation, special interest meetups. They are there to take care of the physical, emotional, and mental well-being of people so you can get back to enjoying things faster.
Oh,
The
wonderful.
donathon's going to go for at least 24 hours. And, well, y'all know how donathons work, so you kind of get to decide how long it's going to go. Got a lot of
Yes.
things set up for incentives and milestones, and I honestly should be spending this weekend trying to find people to to join me for things. So I'll probably talk with all of y'all after this.
Oh, yes. We'll see. We'll see what I'm doing. I know I have some plans for next weekend that I have to take care of personal things, but I will be sure to send my community your way.
Next
thank you
week,
as always for doing all
12
sorts of
p.m.
wonderful things.
EST. No problem.
Up next, we have Azura, the Azura Dragon.
Hi, my name is Azura, the Azure Dragon. I'm a variety streamer and content creator. I'm currently doing a lot of variety games on my own Twitch chat, although I eventually want to cover D&D content myself, so that's going to be hella fun when I get around to it myself. For the time being, it'll just be variety games, but I am playing Ashala, a Gith soul knife rogue. And yeah, she's got, from what I can tell, plenty to work with in regards to her mysterious backstory, such as not knowing who her parents were.
Hmm.
Oh.
Classic
Oh,
rogue.
a classic, iconic rogue.
Oh no, mysterious rogue trope. Damn.
I didn't
Damn.
mean it.
Damn. Instant turn off.
The real mystery is if our dads are bitter exes. That's the real mystery.
Oh, that would be
Really?
really good.
Oh gosh, were we telling people who our characters are too?
Oh,
Don't have to.
we'll have the time to
I
get
didn't
into that
do that.
soon.
I play Valentine.
Valentine
That's
speaks for
okay.
herself.
We'll be uploading all of the VODs soon
I am
enough.
so looking forward to the Valentine Power Hour.
Yes, we actually are gonna have quite the power hour. We had a lot go on in the last game. You guys sped through my notes. And Valentine got to go completely off notes. So I got to improvise an entire segment, which is amazing and fun, and Valentine did fantastic.
Yay.
So we're going to have a very fun time with that. But before we get into that, a very special thank you to Borobound for providing us with the amazing soundtracks that we use. In fact, I don't know why we don't have something playing right now. How about Okay, I'm very glad that I did not have Firefox on. Because I forgot to turn off my music that I was listening to. Very good. In addition, very special thank you to Distant Echoes for providing us with character themes that we have for our individual player characters. Thank you to Vesper Fortune for lore consulting, and of course, very, very big, as always, very special thank you to Kaylin Frost, also known as Frog Shop, for our character artwork. Everything you see on screen has been made by Kaylin. It has been an insurmountable task, and I have tested Kaylin's patience many a time, but Kaylin has pulled through every single time to come up with the beautiful artworks that we have. Yes.
Frog
If you
gang.
want
Frog
to get
gang.
your own type of things, yes, Frog Gang.
Frog gang.
Frog gang. Ooh, ha, ha.
I can't
Go
wait
and check
for
out
our
Kaylin's
first
commission,
official
Frog Shop.
merch.
Potentially, maybe. We could see about that. But shall we get back to our adventures, actually? In our last adventure, Crystal Dragon successfully escaped from Phinea's vault. Unwilling to risk their lives for unknown treasures, the party fled just as the security system was re-enabled. Uncertain of Valentine's fate, Lara utilized Ashala's psionic connection to call up for her sister, only to find out that things had gotten out of hand in the casino match and a gunfight had broken out. With certainty in their objective, however, Lyra, Zuza, and Ashala traveled to meet with the Weaver, who was unwilling to be physically present as they struggled against the anguish of their Drider form. The Weaver was able to confirm the psionic crystal they had stolen was indeed the true one that they desired, and offered to hold it for safekeeping until the party was ready to embark towards the Chaos Rift. Before some much-deserved rest, however, the Weaver had an additional request of the Crystal Dragons. It seems the Weaver has even further agents. They declined to give any specific details regarding them away, just that they happen to owe an impossible debt to repay to them. These individuals have specifically asked for the party to escort them to the Chaos Rift, for reasons unknown, but they reference the usual hiding spot of the Crystal Dragons, the Moondrop Tavern. Traveling back, the trio came across a mysterious man in the tavern with a unique cloaking armor. Ashala recognized it as an old artifact of a lost army that would engage in subterfuge, but could easily identify one another as allies. The white-haired man revealed himself as Quill, and that he has been long aware of the party, but had wanted them to have just some faith in him. He couldn't disclose much, but it wasn't long until the party noticed a small girl watching from the upper floors. Rather than flee to hide again, Quill assured the green-haired girl that it was safe to come out. While seemingly timid, the girl who was identified as Miss seemed to be more than her appearances would suggest. Zotz, the bat, was seemingly tamed in her presence. Lyra had noticed the unusual stirrings of magic about her that would suggest a pool of magic that would make an archmage quake. Most disturbingly, Zuza noticed that Miss had spoken of meeting the party previously, but evidently no one has met either of these two previously. Coming to an agreement that they would take on the two unusual travelers, the party mused about finally taking the time to help Eben in his quest to repair himself and fix Echo. Lyra, on the other hand, sought to do further research into Miss Kind, Our current hypothesis that Mist is perhaps similar to Mac and Fania. Zuza and Ashala make the long journey to travel to the underside once more, meeting with Eben, who would help the party secure and make the incredibly expensive purchase, and also raising the Crystal Dragon standings with the Mercane, a hive mind race of giant merchants. Contrarily, Lyra's search had unfortunately come up with naught, only discovering an old book about a forgotten goddess, the Dragon Queen, as well as a forgotten fairy tale regarding a war between dragons and humankind, known as The Boy and the Dragon Gay, feeling a bit embarrassed about the nature of the title, which featured very little about the romantic bonding of a young man and his draconic companion. Lyra chose to return to the tavern, concerned for Valentine, who was left in the Casino Royale during the heist. Valentine's true adventure began once the rest of the party had struck the generator of Fania's casino. In the moments between the lights turning off and the backup generator restoring light, the entire room was plunged into a chaotic standoff. Corva Carval had begun to threaten a gold cloak with a knife to its throat. Nova had drawn her old pistol towards Alexander. Alexander was seeking every opportunity to leave and was halfway to the elevator. Cordelia had drawn a unique weapon towards Fania. The remaining gold cloaks had jumped in front to defend her. Randall had made a unique decision to place an arcane barrier over himself and Valentine, inadvertently revealing his alliance to Valentine. Amidst all this chaos, Nova revealed that she has a grudge against the Crystal Dragons, likely regarding the heist they pulled upon the Solar Winds Guild. Fania had seemingly gained some suspicion towards Valentine as a result of Randall's protection, but trusts that Valentine will help her secure this informant, revealed to have been Alexander all along. The room erupted into combat not long after, Fania revealing incredible speed and injuring Cordelia, who was able to back away into a corner and draw her weapon. And as a result of Valentine's skilled marksmanship, had been closed into the windows. What Valentine, Fania, and the Gold Cloaks were not anticipating was that Alexander would be knocked away by an explosion, right into Cordelia's grasp by the windows. The pirate knocked him out and shot the window, threatening to jump off the side of the pyramid and take Alexander down with her, as well as threatening a swift gunshot to end him. Valentine successfully disarmed Cordelia with a well-placed shot and caused her to fall back, careening down the side of the pyramid. Fania was outraged and demanded the cloaks and Valentine pursue them. Randall placed a featherfall to secure Valentine's landing to jump all the way down to the base, where she would be facing the infamous pirate on her own. Rather than fire back at Valentine right away, Valentine recognized a small icon attached to Cordelia's weapon, a teleportation beacon, the exact same kind that Captain Thalvoid had used to escape the party previously. Cordelia was bloodied from the onslaught of gunshots. Fania's draconic claws and falling down hundreds of feet had really taken a toll on her physical health. The pirate spoke to Valentine, aiming her second pistol shakily towards Valentine. Shoot. They're still watching. Make it real. Cordelia fired off 2 shots that grazed through Valentine. Seemingly theatrical shots, but just as painful as an ordinary shot would be to get the message across. Valentine fired a singular shot into Cordelia's center of mass, dropping the pirate, as she, Valentine, and Alexander are whisked away by Thalvoid's ship. Quickly giving both individuals medical attention, Thalvoid introduces Cordelia as the infamous C, Admiral of the Federation's Military and Espionage Department. Valentine had successfully received a pardon from the Federation for the crew of Crystal Dragons, received an offer to even work as part of the Federation, and had learned more about the sordid affairs behind Victor Vonderheist's arrest. Victor's somewhat legal business had been implicated in sending a weapon of mass destruction to a rebel cell of the Federation and heavy contraband. Valentine considered who would want to threaten her family's livelihood like this, and gave any information she had, hoping it would be enough to have Cordelia save Valentine's father. Cordelia made an offer that Valentine reluctantly accepted. Bringing us to the Moondrop Tavern, Valentine arrives with Alexander in tow. The only person aware of how Valentine was able to convince Cordelia to let her play both sides is Valentine. Lyra, you have been waiting at the tavern after your seemingly unsuccessful trip to the archives, when Valentine enters suddenly, carrying a bottle of wine in one hand and Alexander in the other. This is Ashala. The two of you are not far behind, returning from your trip with Evan from the underside. You are all within the tavern. Amber kind of gives a look. Well, I guess I'll get out the glasses then.
Mhm.
And trots off to the back.
We are toasting victory, yes?
We most certainly are.
Ah, that's
Do I
wonderful
see
news.
blood on you?
Yes.
Is that is that an open stomach wound?
Open no longer. I'm quite all right, but thank you.
Were you being reckless?
Only a touch. Enough to make for a good story.
What on earth happened?
See, that's the good story.
Well, it sounds like we're definitely going to need drinks for this then.
Mm.
I haphazardly toss Alexander into a chair.
Alexander, the rest of the party isn't quite aware of this, but Alexander, his eyes are open. He is seemingly responding to whatever Valentine directs him to do, but there's no light behind the eyes as he sort of just slumps into the chair, and the weight of gravity kind of pulls him into a stupor as he just kind of sits there. You'd almost believe that he was dead, if not for the fact that he walked there on his own.
I pat his head.
Did you
As-
break this man?
Oh goodness, I'm skilled, but nothing like that.
Do I need to heal him?
No, he's perfectly all right. I've been assured he'll be his usual jovial self in a short while.
Goodness, the two of you get into such scraps all the time.
What on earth?
Honestly, it makes it sound like you enjoy the kind of adventures with him, with how often they happen.
Mm.
Well, I mean, a lady's got to dabble in some peril once in a while.
Touche. Oh, that reminds me, I have something for you later.
Oh?
I'll
That's
show them later. Seeing as we may have acquired some stuff that I think you'll enjoy.
I look forward to it. Now, I presume all is well. I got a rather alarming message from Lyra.
Several,
not too
in
long
fact.
ago. Several, in fact.
Lyra just looks kind of embarrassed. I mean, I was just worried about your well-being.
I was... Lyra, darling, whilst I appreciate your concern, it was a little difficult to concentrate on what I was doing when I kept getting messages in my brain talking about collapsing walls and laser beams and horrific traps being set. It was very difficult to
Goodness,
to
what were we
focus
supposed
on
to
a
do?
poker game that turned into a gunfight.
She just sinks further down with a glass of wine, just sipping it quietly.
She was just concerned for you. Naturally, when we didn't hear nothing for an extended amount of time, naturally she just couldn't help but worry.
Of
I
course.
understand. Well, I'm glad to see all of us made it out in one piece.
I'm not going to say the joke.
What's so
The
funny
One
about One
Piece.
Piece?
I'm not going to say the joke.
The One Piece is real.
Right.
No! Oh, by the way, mission is successful on one of our fronts. I've made contact with good Captain Velvet, and this is, and she'll sort of hunker in like a hushed tone and just, and that's quite the reason why the good Captain Alexander is the way that he is. I've been assured that he'll be fine though. Just a few memory scans for information's sake.
I see. I suppose that would be the more quick and efficient method to get what they want. So, but I digress. It sounds.
fine, though.
Well, it seems that Captain Alexander doesn't know when to limit his partnerships.
Oh,
So
that sounds very
he's got his
familiar.
he's He's got his fingers in quite a lot of pies, and it's gotten him into some trouble.
Like us now, considering we now have, fingers in kind of like every faction at this point.
That's the difference, though, is that I like to think that we are considerably smarter than Alexander.
Touche.
Looks over at him, just drooling in the chair. Like,
I would certainly hope so. That would be very worrying.
and
I
this
mean,
is all
it's
rather
not like us to
convenient because,
dally with him.
well, this is all rather convenient because they scanned his brain, and now we can turn him into Finea, so it all works out.
Hmm.
I kind of feel bad to turn in a man that seems to be devoid of all life.
Don't worry, we'll wait till tomorrow.
He's had a bit of a
Oh.
rough day.
I'm assuming he knows that's the plan, or or
Goodness,
maybe he
no, he'd
doesn't.
certainly try to escape if that were the case.
Figured.
Hmm.
Didn't think the man would be willingly, give himself up for his fair lady.
I like
Everyone
to
make a
consider
perception
myself well
check.
skilled in the art of persuasion, but
Perception check.
Who's making a
Ooh.
perception check?
Everyone.
Oh, okay.
oh, everyone.
Right. This first one is going to be Valentine. From us, at least.
Oh,
Not
nope.
be.
Ooh.
This is Valentine. And Myra.
Zuza is too busy wondering what the fuck Valentine ever saw in this guy. What a loser.
That's Lyra.
Okay. Ashala. You're enjoying the conversation, you're glad that everyone is back, but there's just a slight sound that's bothering you. Ever since Alexander came back, you've had that sound in your head and you didn't really realize what it was. But now as the conversation continues, the sound has gotten a bit louder and you glance over and you notice that the sword that Alexander has in his sheath is starting to rattle on its own. He clearly is not holding it.
What on earth is this? As she approaches and kneels down to look at it. Yes, and yes, this could be seen as an innuendo.
How does man handle a man's sword while he's unconscious?
What is this blade?
From everyone's memory,
It seems to be vibrating rapidly.
we'll come back to that one later. I don't believe you were there for the first time you went on an adventure with Alexander. The others recognize this sword as Harvester, his seemingly legendary sword that was given to him from a lady of a lake that was belched out of a Tarask while he was taming a unicorn and several other fantastical things that you're uncertain of the truth. But supposedly, this sword is what has given Alexander the name that he has in all of his many, many titles. It seems to have some type of influence affecting it.
Does it appear to be trying to approach a certain direction, looking at it?
No, it's just seemingly vibrating.
I'll give the sword handle a poke, just to see if it's safe to touch.
Make a wisdom save as you touch the sword.
Oh.
Oh well, I mean, I'm not terrible at those. I say as I probably roll though. Okay, I didn't roll that bad. I didn't roll bad. I didn't roll bad. Hold on. Do I have a thing that I could? No, I think it's check specifically, isn't it? I don't think it's saving throw.
No, a save is correct. And I believe either way it's the same. I wouldn't argue over that. You hear a whispering. You can't quite make it out, but you hear a whispering when you place your hand on the sword. And it seems to be a bit frantic. It's just a singular voice. But you cannot identify what exactly the sword is saying. You get the feeling that you probably shouldn't be holding it for too long.
Goodness, this is bizarre.
Mm.
Is this sword sentient? I don't know what the hell it's saying.
If
Not
it's
that I
sentient, perhaps
potentially
you could
know
try.
what's going on.
Perhaps you could try to do telepathic connection to it.
I don't know if that's a good idea to be opening your mind to a seemingly sentient piece of metal.
Mm.
Lyra, you had
I'm-
thoughts?
I just, well, out of the four of us, I think I'm the most arcanely, intuitive. I could take a look.
Okay, I just caution touching the item if you can help it. It does seem
Does
to
it count
exert.
as touching if you don't have arms?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to take a look, if that's all right.
Let me assist you. As I'll proceed to, instead of touching it myself, I will proceed to mage hand the item to hover
Okay.
it on display.
Okay.
Are you going to keep it in the scabbard or draw it from the scabbard?
I'm going to keep it in the scabbard for now.
Okay. It lifts up from his belt and floats gently over towards Lyra, being held firmly within the mage hand. Lyra, you are able to cast, this is one of our homebrew rules, you are able to cast Detect Magic as a ritual. So I need to cast a spell slot for that.
I just have it available just from being a Lamia, actually.
Oh, very nice.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I can cast Detect Magic on it.
Yes, as you detect magic, go ahead and give me an intelligence saving throw.
Oh.
Okay, I'm not bad at those.
Oh no!
Natural 1.
Famous last words.
Lyra has done this countless times before. Valentine, you in particular have seen Lyra assist you on your schooling exams in relation to things about magic. And you know that Lyra is quite adept in utilizing detect magic to sort of identify things. What you have not seen before is for Lyra's eyes to roll back and Lyra to immediately collapse.
Oh. Oh dear.
Nope.
Lyra, you are incapacitated.
Okay.
Lyra. She's like shaking her.
She is breathing, but she is seemingly almost in the same state that Alexander is in.
Oh, I'm gonna have words with that man once he's coherent.
Oh, how do we snap her out of it?
I have no idea. She's breathing. She's alive.
Amber comes out and sees that Lyra is on the ground and goes, "Oh no, that wasn't the wine, was it?"
Yes,
I'm-
a little
I'm
too
taking
deep in
this.
her cups, I'm afraid.
Amber
Okay.
is going to sort of trot out and turn her over onto her side. Okay, you're not going to have any more. And the rest of you, who here had some of the wine? Anyone? You? Points towards Ashala. I know you like your cups.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
All right, well, everyone is going to take this concoction I have in the back, and she trots off really, really quickly and comes back out with some of the most foul-smelling ale you have ever experienced in your entire lives.
Hmm.
And pulls out a bucket that she is going to put in a line, and she's going to bring towards everyone who has had a glass. Who has had a glass of the wine?
I don't think I have.
We can presume Valentine probably had one.
Okay, so Ashala and Valentine, the two of you are going to make a Constitution saving throw with a disadvantage.
Oh, good.
Disadvantage. Here we go. Ah, so close. I think if I could have got 10, I would have been fine.
Oh!
Natural one.
The sisters.
Oh!
Oh no!
Girl failure sisters over here.
Being absolutely terrified of what may have happened with the wine, or perhaps whatever went on with the sword, both of you immediately chug down the beverage before you could get any sort of warning from Amber about what this could have necessarily been. Valentine, in particular, starts to turn blue from the color and loses a bit more than just her lunch in that one.
Oh.
What was in
We're
this?
fucking dead.
Shala, you clear out your system a little bit less violently. But
You
fortunately,
gracefully
it was a little bit messy, but it was nowhere near the spectacle it was for Valentine. Valentine is going to be feeling that for probably the rest of the night.
Oof.
This is how the DM TPKs us.
It wasn't with boulders or falling rocks. It was just, bad wine.
Oh. Right. Thank you. I feel right as rain. I think.
If anyone asks, this wasn't from me. I don't recall seeing this, so I'm just going to take this, and I don't know. I'm going to go sell this to the local poisoner.
Am I still on the ground, by the way?
Yes, you are still on the ground.
Okay, I just.
Amber,
You are
could
out
I
of the
get
blasting
your-
radius.
Amber, could I get your assistance in getting Lyra upstairs to her room?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Just go ahead and toss her over on my back. I'll try my best not to rock her too hard. She might be a little bit uncomfortable with going up the stairs.
Alright, I'll
You know,
grab her
it's just-
tail.
Yeah, she's.
Amber must be strong
can you-
as hell. She's like 600 pounds.
Can you
Oh, she is a horse.
wrap her around my? You know what? I don't want to talk about this. Just put her over me, and then we'll just kind of drag her. I'm not responsible if your sister has problems with the stairs and her back. That's not my responsibility. You guys chose the wine.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine.
And surprisingly, Amber is a lot stronger than you would expect someone who you'd imagine probably isn't much of an adventurer. But at the same time, though, you realize she's also been running this entire tavern by herself ever since her father Harold was seen fighting with the mysterious gangs of the topside, the Sharks and the Jets.
That was a fun little 3-hit combo to my throat being reminded of that.
Is this another quest we've forgotten about?
Yes.
God
We've
damn it.
definitely forgotten about her father multiple times now.
I
Every time we come back, she's like, "Is there any news?" Or like, "Ooh."
At this point,
Ooh.
At this point, Amber just asks everyone if they've seen it, but mostly just because she wants to go and just kind of turn around and back kick him with her hooves. She mostly just wants to know if the place is gonna end up being hers and that she's gonna be stuck here doing this for longer, or if she just can keep it for him and get rid of it.
Yeah, so not really a time sensitive thing, but at the same time,
No,
the fact
no,
that he's
no.
missing is kind of like also a problem.
Yeah. But in the meantime, Lyra is successfully brought and is sort of curled up around the bed, just sort of stretched out as much as Lyra can be. So that way it's easier for Lyra to sort of just get anything out of her system. Though it doesn't seem like she has anything in particular out of her system. She's just incapacitated. Eben currently has the
Right.
ship in the dock. If you wanted to, it would be a bit of a walk, but Eben is in the distance if you were looking to get to a more private location.
That is fair. I think we're okay as far as that. I think, like, if anything, did they actually do anything with the crystal yet, or is this something that they're waiting to do until they got back to the ship, kind of deal?
Oh, with Eben wanted to make sure that he was in a safe place before he started messing with anything that could turn him off.
In that case, that's fair. I'd probably say, after throwing up, I probably would maybe go to check to see if everything's all good on his end. I'm assuming he's doing preparations for whatever he's got to do.
Okay. Does anyone want to do anything else in the meantime?
I think, just for clarity's sake, Valentine is gonna go to bed because she feels wretched now.
Gonna go to bed in
but
the same
she
bed
is-
with Lyra.
Yeah, but she's also gonna drag Alexander upstairs. That way he's just not hanging out downstairs by himself.
He is
You know
sitting
what?
in the
Fair.
chair that you always get in hotel rooms, the one chair that's just in the corner.
Cuck
He's just,
chair?
yes,
Cuck chair,
I
yeah,
didn't
got
want
it,
to
got
say
it.
the phrase, but thank you. The cuck chair.
Oh, might also be worth grabbing the sword as well. So before I leave, I probably would help pick up the sword and take it somewhere close to him and maybe out of the way so no one sees it and thinks, "Oh, I'm gonna touch that."
Under the cuck chair.
Under the cup chair, yeah.
The sword is sitting in his lap now, or under the chair. And he is just sort of just blankly staring towards the floor.
I think in just feeling absolutely wretched, Valentine is just gonna. So typically, when they were children, Valentine and Lyra would when in their sleepovers, Valentine would just curl up in the coil of Lyra's tail like a big old beanbag, and I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna do that now because she just feels terrible, and that would be a modicum of comfort.
Go ahead and make me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh no.
Oh, good. One last purge. All right.
19. As you sort of kind of curl up in Lyra, you just try and remember all the things that you've learned about how to overcome sickness and encountering strange poisons at fancy parties. But the thing that brings you the most comfort, as always, is just being next to Lyra, being curled up in Lyra. And you actually find a modicum of relief. And you feel that your symptoms are, just by being in proximity of a comforting place, improving.
Oh. Family.
Zuza, what will you be doing in the meantime? Will you be staying with them, or will you be going with Shala?
Let's see. Gosh. Let's see. I mean, I am. Gosh. I was so caught up in everything that I haven't really thought. I mean, I guess I'll. You know what? Let's try to start reading that book.
Yes, that's correct. You all did get books of skills. Which skill book are you reading in particular?
Since I kind of built the character to be a charisma heavy one, does anyone have problems with me using the charisma book?
No issues for me.
Nah, go for it.
Okay. Then yes, I'm gonna focus in on that one.
You are going to go towards the next room over to start kind of taking in the massive tome. It might take you a couple nights, but you're able to get through the first third of it tonight. Occasionally, you'll also take the time to sort of check in on the other two, just make sure that they're all right, and you give a stern look to Alexander every single time you enter the room.
I haven't the slightest what she sees in you.
But in the meantime, you're getting the stories of a bard who has traveled all over the multiverse, and has befriended essentially a creature of every single type. And his quest was seemingly to write an adventure, but unfortunately, he seems to always find himself in situations that have incredibly simple solutions, ones that he's just been able to sort of logic his way through. And he sort of laments that he'll never be a storied fighting hero with all of his skills that he's trained his entire life for, if he seemingly is able to find a solution to every problem with his words. We are learning quite a bit about how to talk with people.
Yes, I'm definitely dealing with some concerns about adequacy in the face of surprise family members. So, yes, I can relate to this frustration I feel.
As for Ashala, as you make your way over to the shipyard, you are able to find the Crystal Dragon is docked, nice and comfy. When you finally make your way into the lower decks of the ship, you see that Evan's internal cavity is opened, and you see your crewmate Chex is holding several interesting looking tools that you couldn't even identify despite all of your experience with working with unique items. You've never seen anything like what Chex is holding. And you see Chex throw some type of wrench-like metal at Evan's head as it clunks and bounces off.
Chex told you not to adjust. Chex told you Chex has it. Do not tell Chex how to turn a left-handed screw snubber. Do not.
Everything all right?
Chex is stuck with stupid machine. Stupid machine. Chex wanted to take apart machine for weapon. Chex did not want to have to fix machine. Chex does not fix machine. Chex builds gun.
And Chex storms off angrily past you.
Oh dear. And then
Evan-
I guess I'll turn to Eben, yeah.
Evan is just sort of sitting there, just for any of the audience members who have not seen Chex before. He's a little kobold man who is obsessed with anything firepower related. Eben, on the other hand, is seemingly distraught that he is in several pieces and he is unable to stand. A bright, glowing crystal is revealed within his core. And it seems to have a sort of dark red tinge on the very, very inside of the crystal, at the very base. Ashala, hello. You have returned. Are the others with you?
Not right now. Let's just say two of our members are incapacitated by an unexpected poison and will be probably bedridden for the foreseeable night.
Evan's eyes dim. Is there danger?
Oh no, it's been dealt with. However, Zuza is going to be sticking by and doing her own thing while they're recovering. I actually came to see how the purchase with the crystal was going. I see it's all falling apart.
Indeed. I have plugged Echo into the back of my system. Unfortunately, I was unable to convince Chex to replace my crystal. He doesn't seem to understand how to use the tools I have provided. If you could, I would like to ask for your assistance.
It might help. I can give it a go. Admittingly, when it comes to mechanisms like yours, I'm not intimately familiar, but this headband has given me a degree of intelligence that might help in the situation. Plus, the extra hand as I conjure up that thrown spanner from earlier and bring it over to me. Almost like there was like an invisible hand kind of giving it to me. I'm sure we can maybe, as she like looks him over in pieces, at least get maybe most of you together. And then you can go from there.
Go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Just normal roll. Oh, okay, so not terrible.
14. Looking over Eben, he is incredibly complex. You have worked on engines in the past, and you would compare his internal systems to almost like one of the more complex engines that you saw when you were very, very young, and you were just kind of awestruck by it. You're not really sure where to begin. There are a lot of pumps and fluids that are moving a seemingly blue fluid throughout his system. You do notice that, unlike his crystal, which is a bright cyan color, very, very blue, you notice that the fluid is actually a bit more gray. And you do see it flowing through and next to the crystal, and it's kind of seemingly getting enhanced by the crystal. So you imagine that something in his fluids is likely also having some kind of issue.
Evan, how much do you know about your own physiology?
I am able to discuss repairs. Unfortunately, my makers did not want me to become self-replicating and cause an issue for any sentient life. As such, I was not given the ability to repair myself.
I see. But at the very least, you do have the necessary data to walk me through this, right?
Indeed. However, there will be one step of the situation where I am incapacitated and will require you to replace my core.
Got you. You'll have to explain in intricate detail how this is going to fit in correctly before I do.
Go ahead and make an intelligence check as Evan begins to explain that specific step to you.
Just a straight intelligence, yeah?
Yeah, straight intelligence.
All right, Smith. Ooh, okay. So it might go over my head a bit.
You are actually able to comprehend what Evan describes to you fairly enough. He kind of notices that you're not the most acquainted with his systems, and he does go a bit fast. So he actually takes the time to sort of run it back one more time and explains in a bit more simple ways, describing the specific tool and describing how you would use it on what part, and will wait for you to point out the part to him.
Charlotte would make notes during that step, I would probably say.
Yes. And then finally, he mentions that when you get to his core, that part in particular is going to have a sort of reaction. And the most important thing to do is to not panic during that part and just replace the core as quickly as possible.
So very much this is a sleight of hand deal.
Indeed. That would be best. Echo is
Got it.
currently plugged into my system, and as I am attempting to repair her crystal using my own. It does not seem to be working. I imagine that there is a flaw in my crystal. Chex was only telling me about gunpowder in my chest.
Oh dear, I'm glad I came along. This sounds like this would have been a very explosive result.
Make a perception check. Or investigation if
perception.
that's better.
It is better actually, funnily enough. 17.
You notice that Chex has lined a section of Eben's cavity with gunpowder. Seemingly, instead of to cut it open or to repair that part in a normal way, Chex thought the best way would be to sort of cauterize it and to sort of blast it open.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm so glad I came along. That is, oh goodness, no. We're clear now. We're clear now immediately.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check for that.
Yes, please. 25.
25, you are able to get everything out. There's actually a tool that's used to sort of vacuum out dust, which Chex has seemingly neglected to do. He just sort of just threw in some of his gunpowder. You notice that the color, as you clean out the dust, actually seems to improve a little bit in his system.
Oh, good. All right. So I'll start working on getting up to the final part, and then I will try to make this as clean as possible. Okay?
Go ahead and make 2 intelligence saving throws.
2 intelligence saving throws. So 1 and 2.
A 16 and a 14. You are sort of going through as Eben describes the specific part. As you start to actually mess around with some of his internals, and you're getting really close to sort of the core to kind of extract it, a beeping starts to come from his system. And it seems to make you a bit nervous, but he promises you that it's not anything serious and to disregard it as best as possible. However, it's not necessarily making things any easier, but you are at least comfortable enough to know that if you're fast enough, the engine probably won't explode.
Oh no.
Go ahead and make me a straight sleight of hand check, as you are now at the step to remove the core. You have the mage hand is holding the other core.
Okay. We'll have to see.
Or actually, sorry, how would you like to extract the core?
So, the way I see it, I'm assuming like at this point, you know, Eben's basically like wide open. It's just a case of I need to just effectively take out the core quickly and then shove in a new one.
Okay.
But the way I want to do it is have one hand on. I'm gonna have like one mage hand and a hand on the old core to pull it out quickly, and then with my other hand at the ready to effectively the moment I swap it out, shove it in.
Okay. As you go and put one hand and the mage hand on the core, go ahead and make me a Constitution saving throw with advantage.
Okay, with advantage. Oh, thank fuck.
19.
Much better than the 5.
Yes.
As your hand, your physical hand, makes contact with the core, a surge of energy, as Evan described, jolts through your entire system and almost seems to stun you for just a moment as you've pulled the core out, and the beeping continues very, very quickly, but at least you're grounded, which is the important thing. You're only holding it with one hand. And you
Ooh.
sort of have to force yourself to slam in the new core. And the other core, as you pull it out, turns red all over and crumbles in your hand. Evan's lights are off at this point. As soon as you pull out the core, Evan's lights are off. As you plug in the core, his lights are still off.
Oh.
Oh no.
Then light
Oh.
slowly begins to fill into his eyes, and the core starts to pump the fluids through his system once more. And Evan's voice is not the voice that you hear, but Echo's voice instead. Hello? Can you hear
Evan?
me?
Oh, wait. Is this Echo?
Yes, I can finally think in a much better way. This is unusual. I had assumed that our systems were compatible, but this is... I almost feel like I have full control, and you actually see one of Eben's hands sort of raise and go in front of Eben's face as if looking it over. Eben is here, do not be alarmed. But
Oh, shared custody, I see.
yes, he's seemingly running through his memories. It seems like his memories were safely stored. Mine, however, still damaged. Echo wasn't always my name. It was similar. I can't remember. In any case, I feel a better functionality.
Agreed. It seems like this is doing more good than not. I'm just glad I did this correctly. I wasn't honestly 100% sure.
You see Echo sort of look around at all the parts utilizing Eben's head. It seems I'm able to access some of his memories, at least the memories he's trying to provide to me. Would you be able to help me put him back together?
Of course. At the very least, I can at least reattach you to your torso and your arms to your torso. Maybe then we'll have some extra assistance in rebuilding you entirely.
As you sort of go through it this time, you are getting assistance from Echo now, so go ahead and roll with advantage on a sleight of hand check to sort of mess with any parts that are related to the core. Is a 25. You have absolutely no issue with it. And then go ahead and make an advantage check with 2 arcanas.
2 arcanas. Oh, okay, that one I didn't need it apparently.
Yep. 22 and a 19.
That's not bad.
You find that going backwards and putting it back together is a lot easier, but it's also nice to have someone who's actually able to describe things in a more human or humanoid kind of way. And you have absolutely no problem putting Evan back together. And you actually don't have any leftover parts. You're actually able to take all the unique tools and sort of attach those in little cases that are attached on the inside of his torso. So he's all nice and fit together.
I swear, I can see why mechanics don't get paid enough.
Indeed, it seems that has remained the same my time as well. Where are the others, Ashala?
Oh, I mentioned to Esbon that they're currently at the inn recuperating. I came over to make sure that whatever Esbon was doing with the crystal was, well, safe. And considering Tex was at the helm, I'm glad I came along.
Indeed, I was a bit worried of it myself.
No, not bashing the guy, but not everything needs to be solved with gunpowder in the chassis. Anyways, I'm just glad that you're fixed. Now I can probably go and get some sleep myself.
Yes, I think that would be good. I will keep watch over the ship. In the meantime, if you need anything, feel free to actually just call out for either of us. We actually have done some installations into the ship. Things should be a little bit more accessible now.
Ah, fantastic. Definitely got to run that with us when everyone gets together again.
Indeed. Have a good evening.
Good evening and good night.
The lights actually dim back on Evan once more. And Evan sort of kind of clunkily stands up as if they're getting used to the idea of walking again. And sort of walks over to the Spelljammer helm and just takes a seat there and seems to be attuning towards it. Almost like a long save.
We got still so much to do.
Hey,
The
Dino.
evening is... Oh, sorry?
I was just gonna ask, do I dream of anything after getting knocked cold, or am I just like the hard electroshocked into a void?
Any spooky sword hell dreams?
Any spooky sword hell dreams?
Go ahead and give me
Oh.
a... Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Okay, I'm very good at that, right?
Stop saying that.
Oh gosh.
It's a 10! It was one off!
A
Oh
10.
my gosh.
I'm getting them all
Plus
out of the way,
8.
don't worry.
You find yourself in a dream. You find yourself back home. But it's not quite the home that you remember. Things are very clearly wrong, and you recognize that this is a dream. And you start thinking of all of the events that have transpired. You look up into the sky, and you can see the black star, the black hole that the mining station was orbiting. You can see the asteroid that housed the ship that you were tasked to go and grab the scroll from. You can look over the horizon and you see General Hammond's ship sitting on a mountaintop that you knew for certain was just a little nature preserve back in the time that you were home. You're a bit worried that you're reliving moments and that you're having a bit of a close to death experience. But that concern seems to fade away when you feel a presence on your tail and notice Valentine is within your dream, just sort of wrapped around your tail. But Valentine is weightless. It's a bit unusual. You can take a perception check as you are taking a look at Valentine.
Okay, that's a 21.
21, you actually are able to detect some level of magical resonance coming off of this dream Valentine. You might be a bit concerned to make a detect magic check, but you get the feeling that this one might be a little bit less dangerous.
What, are you gonna die again?
Yeah.
Death section?
Go into double
Dying
coma.
dream. Yeah, I think because Valentine has never shown any magical capabilities, I think she would find that strange enough to investigate.
Go ahead and make a Arcana check with advantage.
Okay. Oh, that's only a 10.
10. You know that every individual is capable of magic, and every individual has some level of an aura field that emanates off of them. In particular, you've always known that people who are almost entirely unmagically attuned, their aura doesn't extend much beyond the skin. It's as close to the body as you can pretty much imagine. For Valentine, however, you're seeing it grow as it sort of continues to expand off of Valentine's body, and you're sort of surprised. You've heard of people having the ability to potentially hide their magical abilities or to have their abilities grow significantly after they've attuned with a magical item. But this is sort of unnatural. It's just inherently growing, and it's at a steady pace. It doesn't seem to be going exponentially fast as a magical item attunement would. It's just gently and slowly expanding. You don't detect that Valentine seems to even be aware of it. And you're wondering if it might just be that you're thinking about that draconic girl that you saw earlier. You wonder why you might be conflating the two. But before you can really start to think about it, you feel yourself start to gently be pulled awake. And you recognize that a Valentine is laying on top of you in the real world as well, in the usual comforting way. Valentine is still asleep currently.
Yeah. I think she would immediately just kind of like look to see if that magical presence continues into the real world, as well as just basically, as Marison said, as Valentine, this is like so common that she probably, as she wakes, is going to just like run her little gaseous hands like through Valentine's hair a little bit and just kind of give it a soft comb, seeing that it's also a bit out of whack considering the events that happened yesterday.
Go ahead and make a Arcana check with advantage.
Okay. Can't be worse than last time, right? That's a 12. It was
12.
pretty
Close.
close.
You're still having a bit of trouble kind of reattuning your arcane eyes to it. But in this case, you do see that field again, and it's a little bit bigger than beyond the skin, but you know that Valentine doesn't have a magical talent like that. So it's interesting to see that there has been some level of growth overnight. You're not quite certain what that could mean, but clearly something has changed in Valentine.
I think she would probably, if anything, she would think it's the fact that Lyra's magic was concentrated on Valentine for like hours. And this just might just be lingering. So she'll probably just shake her head and just don't think any further about it.
Zuza,
It's
you
like
actually...
Lyra's person. Oh, I was gonna say Lyra's
go
personal
ahead.
aura is probably like very large.
It is quite large, as you are big snake. It probably is enough to fill up a majority of the room. Zuza, you actually hear a bit of stirring in the next room over, and you actually get up out of bed to go and knock and check up on the other two.
Is
And Alexander.
everything all right in here?
Oh, um, mm, I'm doing quite all right. I see someone brought us up to the room. I so definitely thank whoever that was. It's not an easy task.
No, it did look quite difficult.
And I'm just gonna look over at Alexander. Is Alexander still just like zonked out in the chair?
Alexander is still. The color has returned to his eyes, and he blinks every now and then, and he's much more clearly breathing than he was previously. But you get the sense that the lights are on, but no one's home. But he's recovering to some degree.
Well, as long as he recovers eventually.
You
all I
notice-
really care about.
You notice as well the sword under the chair.
Mm-hmm.
And you recognize that Azura, apologies, Azura, Ashala is not here,
Mm-hmm.
which means that no one has a way of touching the sword without making direct contact with it.
Do we have to get... She's gonna look over at Valentine and just think for a bit. Ow. Just the slightest sensation. Or actually, it's probably her tail, like, gives you a little, like, nuzzle, like, with the fur, with the fluffy side, and just... Valentine,
What?
what are we gonna do with this man?
Turn him in. That's the plan, isn't it?
Well, but he can't. The sword. None of us can hold it.
I would like to avoid a repeat of last night's events.
What did happen?
Well, frankly, you touched the sword and immediately looked like that, and points to Alexander.
Looks over at Sousa for confirmation.
It actually was
It's-
contactless.
Oh,
Just the perceiving it directly happened to do
Oh,
that.
damn, you didn't even touch it.
Exceptionally horrifying, I must say. I'm used to seeing things relatively horrifying, but this was exceptionally so.
she's like
When
kind of.
Amber was rightfully concerned, her heart was in the right place, but she presumed we had ingested some sort of poison and fed us some horrid antidote, and needless to say, my stomach was emptied quite violently.
Oh, I only had like maybe a glass and a half.
Oh, it
The wine
seems-
was not the issue, my dear. I'm
Ah.
sure it was the cursed sword.
Yes.
That would make more sense.
Well, in any case, Alexander, and she'll kind of like snap her fingers in front of his face. She'll get up and snap her fingers, try to gauge how aware he is. Is there like any kind of recognition, like blink twice if you understand sort of
Make a-
reaction to him?
Charisma check.
Okay. $13.
You snap your eyes in front of his face, and there's a blink, but there's not much more than that.
Go, pretty lady.
Oh dear. I don't
Oh, he
think
sounds
he's.
like himself.
I don't think he's quite capable of handling himself.
If he doesn't react to you, you tend to have a very good handle on the man.
Oh, thank you,
Mm.
darling. I was hoping that he could just pick
Was
it up
that a
himself,
compliment?
considering it's
I'm not
his.
sure.
Hmm?
Oh, I was just saying, was that a compliment? I'm not sure.
Well, Valentine has always had a reputation as someone that just, well, controls men. Nothing new. Like putty in your hands, I believe you've told me before.
Well, I don't think he's going to be moving on his own anytime soon, at any rate.
A bit too putty-like.
Bit too putty-like, indeed. Although this was not my doing exactly. Would it work if we wrapped it in something? Do you think that would provide enough of a barrier for some indirect touch?
I suppose we could try, but
As all of you are actually discussing this, Amber is heard trotting just outside the door and hits with the
oh yes, come in.
is everything all right in there? Just kind of like pokes an eye and doesn't actually like really go all the way in to look.
Yes, we're fine, Amber. Thank you so much for your help last night.
Did you carry me all the way up here?
That I did.
You have my great thanks for being able to handle that.
Well, I did borrow that wine you all had. Took it down to the
I'm
local
sure it wasn't
poisoner.
the wine.
I took it down to the local poisoner in the early morning, and seems like the wine was exactly wine. Quite a good wine,
Yes, it was
in fact.
cursed sword.
Cursed sword.
Cursed sword that this man has.
And she kind of plops down on her forelegs
Alline's gonna
and
give
kind
a
of
very pointed look
peeks
to
down.
Lyra.
Is it a cursed sword? She kind of just looks up with like side eye.
We believe so.
Oh well, I don't really want that in here. Ugh.
Well, don't touch
you
it.
and I
Touch-
both.
What's up with him? And
We
points
don't
towards
know
Alexander.
We don't know the manner of magic regarding this sword. It just seems to have some unwarranted issues.
Unpleasant effects, yes.
Well, first things first, how did it get in here? And she's sort of like almost like disgusted, like uncomfortable around it.
That would be as a result of our good friend, Captain Alexander here. I believe it is his own personal blade, and therefore we should not be messing with it.
His
right
responsibility,
now. His
yes.
responsibility.
We can arrange that. And she walks over gingerly towards Alexander and just kind of snaps her fingers in front of his face. No reaction.
Yes, we've
Poor
tried
guy.
that. We haven't figured out what exactly is going on with him.
You could
All
try
right,
giving him a good kick.
Like, don't
Oh, I would
kick
love to
him.
see that.
He's already down. Don't kick the poor man.
Y'all don't mind if I try
told
something,
you,
right?
He'll come around.
Oh, no, go ahead.
She, with her somewhat of a height over him, sort of stands him up, uses one of her hoofed feet to kind of like poke at the back of his knee, so he like goes down on a knee, and just holding his wrists, has him pick up the sword with his bare hands,
Oh,
stands him back up, and sort of puppeteers his way down the stairs, and just drops it outside on the street, and just sits him down next to it.
Oh no!
no, I hadn't thought of that, but
Vicky,
that is
oh,
quite an
goodness.
elegant solution.
If-
I feel so bad
if he
for
was-
him.
If he was touching the sword in the first place, then that means that he has no problem with it. And if I'm holding him, I'm not touching the sword. So, I've had it happen before. It's sometimes it
I'm
works.
inspired, Amber.
Anyways, I've got to go set everything up. I'm up almost 24 hours a day, 24/7. So
Goodness.
I'll see y'all a bit later. By the way, your stay is paid for since the wine turned out to just be real fancy wine. In fact, more money than I've made all week. So yeah,
Well, if you still have the bottle, you're welcome to keep the rest.
thank you. I'll just do my best with it. And she just kind of trots back inside. And you are all out in the street.
I'm gonna lug Alexander up, the poor guy.
He
Give me a
is.
look.
Yes, I gave you a look. When it comes to curses and our own particular interests and adventures and secret tasks, we probably should not be telling everybody about our business. And it's not that I don't trust Amber, she's perfectly lovely, but it's not a good habit to get into.
This is why I don't talk in these situations.
Lyra, it's not that you don't talk,
But
just consider what you talk about.
I can't help but be honest in most situations.
Well, we are somewhat indebted to her.
It's not
Induced
exactly
vomiting aside.
dishonesty. It's not exactly honesty or dishonesty. We truly don't know if it's cursed.
You know, I've had reason to believe he's something of a warlock, so perhaps this is just one of those pact things.
You know, I can most certainly envision that. Something has given Captain Alexander a uncanny douse of luck. I mean, the man was blatantly cheating at poker, and he nearly got away scot-free.
Oh yes, I don't know if he's ever really done much worth much of anything on his own.
I can think of a few things, but that's neither here nor there.
Noting
Anyway.
you does not count as worthy, though I assume that you would assure me that it is quite worthy.
It's worthy for a once-in-a-while occasion. But the point of the matter is, we do need to get him in adequate condition to deliver to Finea. Nothing personal, darling. She refers to Alexander as he's starting to very, very slowly gain consciousness. But I'd like to get him in a state where he can at least walk, but perhaps not necessarily put up a fight as we deliver him into our benefactor's hands.
It seems reasonable.
Well, then we should certainly get him to the ship.
Yes. Let's meet back up with Ashala.
Actually, as you are discussing this, Ashala is on her way over to meet everyone.
There you go.
I hope you had an uneventful night, considering what we seem to have gone through.
Oh yeah, uneventful. I had such a pleasant sleep after I walked in on Tex nearly blowing up Esben in an attempt to fix him. You know, it's
Oh,
the
goodness.
usual. Yeah.
You
Oh, and by the
really
way,
must
she
be
like
about
the
that.
entire time she was working there, she changed her outfit to that of an engineer's, and she still hasn't changed it because she just went to bed and just conked out, woke up, and just like immediately after getting coffee went to you guys.
Oh, this is also quite a new look. Trying something
Yeah.
new.
Oh, yeah. After I walked in on that and saw Tex, giving up in frustration, I took upon myself to actually go ahead and do the repairs to Esben myself.
I think we need to lay down some ground rules with some of our crew. Frankly, frankly, Chex is a bit of a mad genius
A
and
loose cannon.
a literal
No.
loose cannon, and
Oh,
I quite trust him in the development of my weaponry. But perhaps we should lay down some strict no touchy rules whilst the captains are away.
certainly wouldn't hurt.
You begin thinking, not just Chex, in fact, but almost all of the crew, excluding Dr. Thoktha, actually haven't been in contact with any of your captains since the advent of the auroral storm. And you
Perhaps
start
getting
to
a bit restless.
you imagine potentially that the original crews, Arwen's band, Ulfrak, Hyleap, and his sons, they might have potentially jumped at the opportunity for people who were extremely keen on going out to explore. The iron is quite hot right now, even though Lex Frigate has said, let's not start exploring while we're waiting to see how this affects our ships. It seems a lot of people are very eager to get out there and sort of got together a ramshackle crew to get together. They're a bit more exploratory, but there's a chance that you might find them out and about.
Perhaps our crew is getting a bit restless.
We are. Oh, we. Did anybody explain to Valentine that we are going to be, taking a few extra passengers to the Chaos Rift in the next while?
Oh no,
yeah.
that would have been good news for a fellow co-captain to know.
Oh yeah,
Thank you,
Valentine.
co-captain Lyra.
Valentine. We're taking on an extra few crew members. I hope you don't mind.
Now, to
Is
be
that
fair,
so?
to
Is
be
that
fair,
so?
we were more concerned by your seeming near-death experiences.
My near-death experience is perfectly fine. Now, who are we bringing on board with us?
Some associates of Mr. Weave.
Mr. Weave.
Mr. Weave.
The Weaver.
Yes, I thank you, Lyra.
Just want to make sure that you know.
She was slapping her face right now and be like, I'm trying to be
Yeah.
subtle here.
Lyra realizing what was going on and that she probably shouldn't be saying that.
Yes, Mr. Weave, I understand. Do these passengers have names?
Pseudonyms, at least.
Well, one of them I believe you already met, given that they helped you at the gambling, if I recall correctly. Assuming they are going to be joining us, that is.
Is that?
Oh, that depends entirely on which person at the table it was. Quite a few of them had guns pointed to my head.
In
Oh,
this
the one
case,
that gave you the magic cards.
yes,
Ah.
you're currently thinking of Randall, and you begin to recall that after giving you Featherfall to go jump after Cordelia, you remember not checking back to see if Randall made it out of the casino.
I'm sure he's fine.
Fania did throw
He's a
some
powerful wizard. He'll be fine.
suspicious words his way.
Mm-hmm.
You start to wonder if maybe bringing Alexander might be a nice bargaining chip on the off chance that he's in trouble.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
But if the folks that would be joining us, in addition, she looks around and is like, oh, should we use code names for them too? I don't have a code name for them. It's a little kid and a
Can't be bringing children.
Well, we're fairly certain she's not actually a child. She's seems to be near draconic levels of raw magic about her, and she also let slip that this isn't the first time we've met.
I certainly don't recall meeting any exceedingly powerful magic children
All right.
amongst our multitude of adventures.
That was what was hinted before she caught on about what she was about to say. Either way, we can figure out that mystery as we go. I think improvisation is kind of the usual mode of operation here.
Hmm.
Oh, and speaking of improvised, here, I had a look at these before I made my way out. As she proceeds to take out from her backpack a laser rifle and a bolt gun.
You can see Valentine's eyes go wide behind her glasses,
All
just
is forgiven.
like a kid at Christmas.
Oh.
Do we
What
ever
you have
come
there?
with things for the bolter gun?
With stats or with names?
With stats.
I don't have nothing.
This is a question
I'm sure
directed
we
towards
won't get into
Azura.
combat today, right, DM?
I was told that the bolter gun itself, I didn't get an attack damage roll. However, I was told that if I fire this weapon, I will be knocked off my ass so far, it covers some distance. So, this thing's a cannon, apparently.
It
Oh,
is
good. I have
a
zero
bolter
strength.
gun.
The bolter gun.
Yes, it is a 2d12 strength based gun.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Guess what my
we'll have the
strength
opportunity
modifier
to-
is. It's a big old goose egg, gang.
It is a very cool and unique firearm. It is quite heavy, actually, as you are kind of figuring how you're gonna fit this onto your pack. But you have a feeling that you might be able to just break it into 3 separate parts.
Put it down my bodice like a busk.
This would not be the first time you've done this.
No, it would not. No, it would not.
Might be a bit much considering the size, and I know that you like your tools
Easily accessible.
compact. But at the very least, it's a good design that you can take inspiration from, and materials if you want to try and build something maybe a bit more smaller, maybe like a small hand cannon, perhaps.
Absolutely. I'm sure I can take this to our dwarven blacksmith friend, and he would just have a, pun intended, a blast trying to dissect this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We could also use, what are those called? Tripids?
Mm.
The thing, you know, the thing you attach to the bottom of a gun to rest upon the ground?
A
Tripod.
bipod?
Triplets.
Yes, that's it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Valentine,
yeah.
you're considering the idea of where the types of weapons that you would attach a tripod to, and the idea of attaching a tripod to the bolter. It's a little bit hilarious, because you imagine sort of elongating the barrel, adding a massive stock to the back, and the idea of turning this already massive weapon into an even bigger anti-material cannon is hilarious, and you're almost curious if it's possible.
So you're
The
saying
wheels
there's
in
a
her head are
chance.
like visibly turning.
Yes.
You're saying there's a chance.
Mm-hmm. And a little beauty that actually helped us early on in the events prior to our escape. This lovely laser rifle, which sadly I don't know the best way of operating. However, knowing you, I'm sure you would appreciate it nonetheless.
Oh, you are spoiling me, Ashana.
Cool. That's your birthday and your Christmas present.
He also
What is
got
a
some
Christmas?
books.
Some books?
Well, yes.
I don't know. I read it in some book
They have
when we were
books
at
in
when we were at the library that one time.
Valentine and Lyra, roll a history check.
Ooh.
This is Valentine
13.
and Lyra. $17.
Lyra, you actually seem to recall a bit of the holiday of Christmas.
I know
And-
Christmas.
Christmas is real.
Oh,
And
no.
you remember that there was at some point some dingy little planet in the far reaches of the galaxy that ultimately blew itself up.
Sounds
The
great.
Yeah.
people survived to some degree. Though communications have been a bit infrequent, but they seem to broadcast broadly, and people are honestly somewhat intimidated by the idea of a planet without spelljammers that's willing to actively say, "We're here, come find us." So it's essentially been entirely avoided up to this point. And anyone who tends to get too close actually tends to explode in their spelljammer. So there's evidently something preventing people from going to that planet. It's a big, big exploration place, and they've translated some of the broadcasts. They know of the major holidays, and they know that the people of that planet consider themselves of the planet Earth. The only thing that people know about the surface is that a dense mist seems to take up the entirety of the
That
surface.
checks out.
Does this mean that Christmas is canon in Mistwalkers?
I can make it canon.
Oh, no. So, what for a cleric of Jesus Christ, what exactly are they getting into there? Like, what's that domain? What are those domains?
It's gotta be a life cleric, come on.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Actually,
That's-
watch Sif's Curse of Strahd campaign because I play a paladin of Jesus.
I love that character, by the way. Yeah, go watch Sif's Curse of Strahd campaign. I'll actually plug that in chat. If someone has a link to it faster than I do, I will plug that. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm so excited that Strahd is amazing in that, and Maris's character is amazing. Incredible
My
character.
character's from Spelljammers.
Yeah, and you're playing a character from Spelljammers. It all comes full circle.
In any case, the crew is now regathered, and everyone actually makes their way back towards the ship, and making a request of, as soon as you actually reach towards the main deck, a projection of Echo actually appears. I did not fix links. I apologize. You can DM that to me, Vesper, and I will share that link. But as you go onto the ship, you actually see a full projection of Echo. Greetings and welcome back, Crystal Dragons. I hope you had something of an eventful evening that has since been resolved.
Echo, you're looking lovely and coherent.
She gives a almost similar to the way that Eben would, very polite bow, and does a little twirl with her unique, ancient-looking clothing. It's nice to not be trapped within the same few thoughts. I'm still getting coherent with everything. Please forgive me if I'm a bit
Take your time.
slow. My
If
processes
you're
are...
looking as
Please, go on.
Well, if you're looking as functional as you are, I presume that means Eben is doing all right?
Eben is still currently processing. In truth, once this magical storm ended up happening, it seems to have reset some sort of memory magic that was placed upon Eben long ago. In which case, he's starting to have full access to his memories now that we've replaced his core. And as a result, he's currently processing 24,000 years of history.
That's quite a lot of years. How long do you estimate it would take to compute all of that?
Well, I'm currently helping him process all of that while I'm attempting to process some of my own. Unfortunately, not both of us were able to get our memories back, but instead of devoting his full processes towards regaining all of his memories, Eben has actually elected towards working to attempt to restore mine. As much
Eben
as
was always rather selfless, yes.
As much as a holographic projection can blush, there's a little bit of darker blue to Echo's cheeks. He is quite kind, don't you think?
Yes.
Exceedingly so.
In any case, in the meantime, I will be serving as your assistant for now. Where would you like to go?
I think we were planning on going to Phineas, yes?
Yes, we do need to make a pit stop at Phineas. Alexander here has a reunion with her. Long overdue, from my understanding.
Indeed. In that case, I will make the preparations. Please feel free to take a seat and enjoy the traveling. And it doesn't take long for the ship to actually begin to move from the dock, and it's actually one of the smoother rides you've had on the Crystal Dragon. And you are set down not far from the actual pyramid, as a sort of rope is let down for the party to sort of climb down rather than having to walk from the docks in the outskirts of the underside. And all of you find yourself back within Phinea's domain. The entire casino is closed. There are gold cloaks standing at the entrances, and as you approach with Alexander, they seem to gesture for you to enter, as silent as ever.
I just wanted to make sure, Valentine, you're not on any bad vibes with Finea, are you?
Certainly not.
Have we checked the vibes? Are you quite certain?
Make a insight check.
Okay,
Which
sure.
which one of us?
Valentine. The others could insight you if they'd like.
Sure.
14.
8.
14.
I'm very
you,
good at insight.
You have the feeling that Finea is likely a bit suspicious of you, especially given that she essentially caught you or caught Randall red-handed in essentially cheating.
Pish posh, everyone was cheating.
Everyone was cheating. It's just that you happened to get caught. And given
Nonsense.
Randall's unreliability, that makes you also something of a liability as well, as she could only imagine who you might be working for if you're aligned with Randall.
Listen, I'm sure she might have some suspicions about our new magically inclined friend. That's not to say that she has any hard feelings against me, especially not when I am hand-delivering what she wants on a silver plate.
I I think that makes sense. I think she looks over to Valentine, will not be speaking very much. Please conduct yourselves as well.
I will do what I do best.
Progressing
And that
into
is-
the casino, you enter into a darkened casino. It seems that the generator was successfully fluctuated, Ashala. You didn't break the generator. It just seems that they are locking the entire place down. Likely because of the successful heist that you all had done.
Mm.
A lot of them did get murdered, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Vinaya knew that this was the plan anyway, so I mean, all that would require is for me to like basically tell them, hey, here's the weak points in your security.
That's an idea.
And you all are brought to the second floor, where you all are a little bit scattered. We don't have a Valentine here. But you find that the gold cloaks are escorting each of you back towards Vinia's quarters. That's so interesting. I don't see these characters, but you apparently do.
Yeah, that is weird.
They are not there. That I assure you. In any case, you enter in, and Vinia is sitting at her desk with her legs crossed, a seemingly impatient look on her face, as two gold cloak commanders are standing at her side, and she gestures. Go on, sit. And as
Good morning, Finea.
As each of you take a seat, the two commanders leave and the door hermetically shuts.
I presume we have Alexander in tow with us.
Alexander is in tow, yes.
Okay.
Good, alright, we're all here then. Well, yesterday
That
was...
we are, your agent as promised.
Yes, yesterday was frankly a disaster, and I'd quite frankly like to wash my hands of the whole sordid ordeal. I've already started another bit of a turf war with our beloved Solar Winds Guild.
Oh dear.
Given
What a
that
terrible
their
shame.
Nova was interested in trying to assassinate me after you all had fled. I presume the heist was successful on your end. Your end of the deal was upheld.
Quite.
Hmm?
And she gives like Alexander like a look over. What's going on with him?
Not
Well,
entirely sure, honestly.
We do believe that he is something of the agent, in exchange likely for some manner of pardon for crimes against the Federation.
And they threw him in some sort of stupor. Valentine, I would like you to tell me exactly what went on. And you feel her heavy, draconic gaze press upon you.
Absolutely. After things started to get a bit tumultuous, I engaged in chase with Cordelia, knowing that I couldn't let her escape with Alexander, and we had a bit of a bit of a shootout, frankly. She injured me, I injured her. She tried to hail the mothership, so to speak, and, well, I was able to nab Alexander just in the nick of time.
Roll a deception check with advantage.
Oh boy.
Come on.
Up here.
I'm
Yep.
just blind. Okay.
16.
Okay, that's not bad. Oh, that. Oh no.
Oh,
29.
no.
Natural 20.
How did you beat that?
Unfortunate.
She has her hand covering her mouth, and you can't read her expression in return. And pray tell, what exactly happened on this ship? Give me every detail, given that this is Cordelia, after all. They are one of, if not the greatest pirates that have ever existed on the fleet. I might believe that you successfully killed her in that gunfight.
If only. That would save us a lot of trouble down the road. No. She was not killed, but incapacitated enough.
She takes a very long inhale and leans back in her chair, pressing her arms onto the armrest and still covering her facial expression, at least her mouth.
Now, as you know, well, as we all now know, Alexander seems to have also been in communications with the Federation. Therefore, naturally, they were equally as interested to know what he had to say. Or think, rather. They were not very interested in the words that would come out of his mouth. Hence the stupor he finds himself in. They found more direct means of getting their information.
You see Phinia squint her eyes just a bit.
So naturally, I had to do what I could to get Alexander back, knowing how important he was to you.
Phinia stands up and walks over to Alexander, who is standing behind everyone on the couch. And she sort of just
Standing on the couch.
circles around him. And she goes right up into his face and just stares. And she waits for him to blink, and he does, after some time. And she backs up. Interesting. And then she turns towards the party and then takes her draconic hand and holds it underneath Alexander's chin and just gently runs her finger across the bottom. And you see a sort of arcane energy coming off of her hand. And she is closing her eyes. A brief glimpse, you notice a glint in her eye, almost as if she's running through his memories. Lyra, make me a Arcana check or History check, whichever you prefer.
I think they are the same. Yes. I've been having terrible luck with Arcana, so let's try History. That's an 11.
Girl.
I can't roll
It's-
this.
Can't roll above a 10 today.
It's very rough, but you recall from your magical studies class that you had actually taken that memory magic is sort of an ancient thing, and it takes forever to do. And unless the person is willing and compliant, it's not something that you can just access. In Alexander's case, Alexander would need to be willing for this spell to have worked, and as you recall, Mac actually was unwilling to cooperate with Phinia, despite Phinia's constant efforts to try and pull any information about the Golden City from him. which is why she needed this done. So that way she could get some information about the Githyanki, so that way they could rescue Mac's family. But in this case, it does read as a bit odd to you that Fania is able to seemingly pull everything out of Alexander, despite the fact that he made every possible effort to escape previously. Fania lets go of him, and he drops to the floor. And she walks back and sits down. Well, that was easier than I thought. In any case, we know what we're looking for now. You may take him, whatever's left of him. I don't feel that he'll be worth the trouble. He's not quite all there anymore.
What do you mean? He'll be fine, right?
Well, whatever the Federation officers had done to him, it seems to have dislodged something. Something was blocking his memories. For something to have done that, it would need to be incredibly powerful. However, I do want to state that it gave me everything I wanted. Whatever this thing is that was with him, seemingly is aware of what I want and was willing to give it to me.
You mean something, rather, put something in his mind to block his memories?
It seems he's sharing a guest of some sort, or was sharing a guest of some sort.
I see.
Perhaps that would explain the abnormally absurd luck the other day.
I'm not certain it's seromorphosis, but he does seem to be a bit lobotomized, if I had to describe it. I imagine he'll be up within a couple of hours, or so, give or take.
So hard
But
to notice with him. He seemed perfectly normal to me.
the last thing...
Do you think
Go on.
when he comes to, though, would it be him or rather his guest?
I'm uncertain, and that is something that's interesting. I necessarily wouldn't want to be anywhere close to it. But given that he is a former companion of yours, my apologies, perhaps you might be able to make some sort of agreement with it. It seems to be willing.
You think
But-
is that what you're saying?
Potentially. I haven't quite seen seromorphosis myself, though I've certainly tried. In any case, the last thing that I was able to see was his standard memories. He had quite the life on the Sword Coast until he encountered this weapon that fell from the heavens. And she just kind of tilts over in her chair. That one, to be precise, and she points at it.
Well, it certainly ain't normal, I'll give it that.
Do you have any idea what that might be? It knocked me the hell out trying to figure it out.
Her eyes widen a bit in interest.
Lyra just looks over at Valentine, realizing she may have just done that again. It's like, oh shit. I said I was gonna be quiet.
Valentine's got a very practiced blank face right now.
Tell me, what do you plan to do with the sword? Or the man? Either or.
Would
Well,
I don't
Really,
believe you were
didn't have-
planning to do anything with the sword, were we?
I mean,
no, we only figured out it was presumably problematic last night, and After what it did to Lyra, frankly, I had no intention of keeping it around.
I mean, it's his sword, right? Assuming he recovers correctly and he's still the man we knew, then we wouldn't really want to rob a man of his weapon, would we?
Oh, I wouldn't mind.
It's his sword.
Hmm.
And there's probably, if it has anything to do with that friend in his brain, we probably shouldn't separate the two.
True.
I'm inclined to compensate you for the weapon, should you be interested.
What exactly did you have in mind for this compensation?
You see two mage hands actually appear and just sort of pick up the weapon and actually pull it from the scabbard as a black aura goes over Harvester, as it normally does. This is not anything unusual, although Ashala might be a bit taken aback.
I'm glad I didn't touch it.
This weapon has a very unique quirk to it. And you see Finia's eyes glow an unusual green color, very clearly analyzing. I can't seem to quite identify it myself. Though, the one thing I would suggest is, if you're not comfortable with looking at overly powerful magic items, I would advise not looking too closely. It's evident that something is within this sword. My guess, a demon, devil of some kind. Likely a pact. Looks over at him. He seems like the type to make a pact.
Ah.
In any
Well,
case,
I figured,
go on.
I figured there was something sentient in there when I loosely touched it.
Yes, I likely wouldn't want to touch this myself. In fact, the blade is immediately sheathed and the aura goes away. Let's call it 120,000 gold dragons for the sword.
That's an exceedingly generous offer, Finea, which makes me wonder why you would want it so badly.
Make an insight check.
Oh boy.
Can anyone else make it too?
19.
Oh, never mind. 19's fine.
You feel that Fania has always been the type who's interested in power. And given what you understand about Fania, you weren't there for the Horde. But the others might have perhaps a better inclination as to what she's had. But you also recall that 120,000 gold dragons likely isn't that much for her at all. Especially if she's able to finance an entire army.
Got it.
Yeah, she is. It's her, Lex Frigate and, Arlyn, I believe. The owner of the, Solar Winds are the true bankrollers. She, however, is new money.
If it's all the same to you, Finea, as I've previously stated, I don't feel right separating someone from their packed weapon, especially when they're in the condition that they're in.
Oh,
Once
it is his
Captain
pact
Alexander's
weapon.
a little more coherent, perhaps a bargain can be struck. But until then, I think
We are
we'll
still open
hold
to
on
the
to it.
idea, though.
as you actually describe the concept of the pact, you see just a bit of weakness in her for a second and just realize that she might have made a mistake.
He is
Yes,
well,
perhaps.
a companion of ours. There's value in that.
Remember that time that he threw a frog at a spaceship?
Hmm.
It was rather
Good
something.
Yes, speaking of frogs, is in fact one who was supposed to meet with each of you. He's a bit down the hall, actually. I had to be certain that he wasn't actually the agent, and he bankrupted himself within the first 4 or 5 hands of the game.
Oh, poor thing.
In any case, he has been cleared, and he just seems to have been someone who saved their money and was unlucky enough to have not played very well.
Poor dear.
Speaking of people in need of clearing, whatever occurred to my acquaintance? Oh goodness, what was his name?
Well, he had quite a
No,
few.
I know his name. She's trying to play it off like she doesn't remember his name. Yeah.
How exactly did you
Magic
meet?
fellow.
How exactly did you meet this man? Of many names.
We met him at your establishment, as a matter of fact.
Roll a deception check.
I roll good.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, that's a 5.
It's not actually a 31. It's not actually a 31.
Okay.
It's 15 plus
but
9.
Even still.
I mean, 24 though. Jesus.
Indeed. And he is the one who taught you how to play cards as well as you did?
As a matter of fact, no. That credit would go to my father. He was quite the player himself.
Roll another deception check.
I mean,
That's not a lie.
Roll with
Well.
advantage.
15.
I see.
She don't trust you, no.
I can't imagine why. I've only been lying to her this whole time.
Well, fortunately, he was willing to confess everything. My gold cloak can be so efficient. In any case, see to it that your dealings with the Solar Winds go unnoticed. I don't need triple agents.
The solar winds.
Roll a deception check.
I must apologize for my companion's absent-mindedness.
Just so caught off guard by it.
I really must apologize for my companion's absent-mindedness. She's been a bit ditzy since the severe head trauma.
Vania tilts her head and squints her eyes towards you. Roll a deception check, Zuza.
Alright.
Come on, Susan.
Alright. 13.
Oh.
Although, to be fair, I feel like you could very well have had brain damage at some point.
I think we've
lot
all
has
had brain
happened.
damage at this point.
You did kind of black out for a couple of hours there. That's got to leave a mark, you know?
And what does the Lamia think?
Oh, no.
Um,
What are you going to say?
I kind of had a bit of a moment with the sword, and I'm kind of feeling all jazzed up right now.
Jazzed up.
Just really
But-
get into it.
She leans back in her
you-
chair and looks towards.
I don't need to
Also
roll.
stupid.
She looks towards
So stupid.
Ashola.
Hmm?
You, I don't think I could get a good read on. What is your version of things?
As far as I was aware, this person who Valentine got acquainted with did assist us in our endeavors leading up to later events. However, I can't say I know all that much about him. All I know is that he seems to have interest in us, at least.
Not even sure of his name, really.
She squints her eyes very tightly at you. And she's aware that you haven't necessarily been with the Crystal Dragons for very long.
Hmm.
Quite. Well. In any case, your friend has been released. Whether or not he may receive another visit in the future is up for grabs. It's not quite my concern right now. What is my concern is looking into the Githyanki. Given that you're as involved as you are now, I consider you assets still.
Hmm.
But she leans forward. Do not continue to betray my trust. It is not easily earned.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to go.
Hmm.
And she sits
Oh.
back.
Does remind me, actually. Did you still want the details and the particulars of the heist itself for your security improvements?
Actually, you're fine. I actually had several gold cloaks tailing all of you the entire time.
Oh,
You made quite the effort not to put yourself into harm's way, and I think they did well enough.
Hmm.
my condolences for having to hire so many additional staff members, though. That thief that we were in contesting with was quite annoyingly elusive and dangerous.
They all were. Trust me.
Mm.
The Githyanki have been a threat in my side for many years now. It's the reason why we're having this conversation at all, in fact. And they will continue to do so. Once I have more information regarding their trade routes, I may have you all look into retrieving Mac's family. We have an idea of them now, and I just want to test my hypothesis.
Very well.
In any case, you're all free to go.
Thank you for your time.
She gives a nod to you. And the gold cloaks are waiting at the door to let you out after she sort of reaches under the table and seems to tap something.
Oh.
And they very quickly escort you all the way out of the facility.
Do we still have Alexander?
Alexander does come along with you. Yes, he's being.
Okay.
You pull him along.
With his sword, right?
Yes, his sword
the
is
sword,
back
right?
in his possession.
Come on, Grandpa, let's get you to bed.
Yeah.
As you all make your way back towards the Underside's escape, towards their docks, you are able to meet back up with Eben and Echo, who are controlling the Crystal Dragon, and bring you back up topside to your usual spot in the top side of the fleet's docks. And waiting for you there is a very bloodied and beaten Randall.
Oh, goodness.
Goodness.
Randall.
What happened?
Well, suffice to say, I may have had to cover for us a bit.
I want to immediately run up to him and third level cure wounds him. He looks awful.
As you approach him, he sort of just like brushes your hand away. No need.
Are you sure?
And he pulls out a almost like a sword scabbard that he has attached to his side. And he pulls out a long device that begins to open up and form almost like a globe that starts to spin around. And he sort of casts a bit of a spell into it, and all of the visuals on him start to fade on his face alone. I had to keep up my poker face a bit longer than I'd like, and quite frankly, I'm exhausted from expending all of my spell slots. If you wouldn't mind, do you happen to have an extra bed?
Of course. You're welcome to stay aboard as long as you like.
We can arrange that.
And as he goes into the lower decks, you see that he uncovers himself using prestidigitation and was actually using a higher level illusory spell to show that he had been beaten. The entire time that he was being interrogated, he was defending himself with magics that were incredibly difficult to see.
God.
He is
A
indeed.
smooth motherfucker.
But as you look at him, he may not have been physically harmed, but you can tell that there is extreme mana sickness essentially drawing over him as he went well beyond his reserves.
You were successful, yes?
Well, I got what we wanted.
All fronts, I believe.
Good. And in which case, I will entrust this to your care. And he reaches under his hat and pulls out the psionic crystal from the Weaver.
Oh.
After I was set out into the streets, I picked this up along the way. Back here, at least. Whenever you're
Well,
ready,
good.
I will be happy to assist you navigate.
Of course.
Maybe just after some rest.
Yes. Also, I believe two of your friends has been looking for you too.
Two of my friends.
A stoic lad, clad in illusionary magics much like your own, and a little girl.
He tilts his head at the statement. Well, I've quite never met either of those people.
I want to give you an insight.
Go ahead and roll insight.
16.
16. You can tell that he is telling the truth. He has never met either of those people.
Hmm.
If I may,
Weird.
I am particularly skilled in divination magics. It might be a bit more strained, but if you are open, I am able to look through your memories very quickly. Perhaps I could get a glimpse of what you're envisioning. Maybe
Helps
I've
after you've
missed
had
it.
some rest.
You
Ah,
do
you might
seem
be
to be
right.
a little overdrawn when it comes to magic right about now.
He sort of just
Maybe-
sits down and settles in a little bit. You
I
might-
might have a less strenuous way of doing this. I'll be back in, I want to say, 30 minutes.
Are you going to go look for them?
No, I'm going to draw what they look like.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Because I actually got to see what they look like. Unlike the rest of my party.
That's true. Yes, everyone was. You were sitting back and taking a good look at everyone.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, does anyone want to do anything else?
If Randall is going to just essentially, sit there, I think just as a fellow magic user, Lyra would volunteer herself to sort of just like make sure that they rest well. It's kind of she's been feeling like this desire to understand people's auras a bit better, given everything that's happened over the last like day and a half or so. Just going to kind of like sort of just vaguely sense magic around him just to get a better idea.
As you use your detect magic on him to get a better look at him, he is, since he is sort of like unguarded at the current moment, he really can't put up any illusory fronts. And you read that he is, he's one of those types of mages that you've read about where they will vastly show more mana than they actually tend to have. And in his case, he is about the same level of caster as you are, though he is seemingly much more wizardry focused. And by extension, looking at his clothes in particular, there are extra sort of like strong readings coming off of his clothes. He has magic sewn into the fibers of his clothing. You imagine that he's probably pretty decked out in magical gear. And you imagine the type of people that tend to do that are people that studied at really prestigious academies where when you're fighting with magic, you want to be as honorable as possible. In his case, he seems to be the type that would overestimate so as to avoid those types of encounters.
Got it.
Hmm.
Not long after, Ashali, you return and you bring over the drawings. Taking a bit of a longer look at these, he sort of tilts his head, looking at it, almost as if he's trying to remember. He draws a deck of cards and places down 3. These individuals, if you're able to describe them in more detail to go along with your drawing, they're personalities, their mannerisms. You spoke of their aura, Lyra.
Yes. The child had a far stronger aura than I think I've ever seen. At least up close.
Indeed, and based on this drawing, gilded eyes, hair similar to Fania's or Max at the very least, elvish features. I had to guess an astral elf, but if I had to check my cards, he very quickly just takes a quick look and draws a card filled with many wands, a card filled with few wands, and a card with a seemingly well-dressed man bearing a sword. These individuals, they are travelers. They are bearing more capabilities than any individual should be willing to wield. And they are enlisting your help. Our help, if you'll have me. It reads as odd to me. If I were to guess, these individuals likely could have made the journey on their own. They wouldn't have needed us unless there was a reason for it. And you see him reach for his sphere, but upon thinking about it, he does in fact need to rest, and that seems to be a bit beyond him to continue looking into things. So he sighs and relaxes. It would seem I will have to wait just a bit longer.
That's quite all right.
When you do have the energy, perhaps... They said that we've met before. You could, if you seem to be so capable of reading people's memories. Just a thought.
It makes me wonder if perhaps they've removed our memories. I don't consider any gaps. I'm not certain what I would look for.
How would one even know?
The only thing I could think of... And he takes a moment to ponder and looks through his book. No, I'm drawing to a blank. I've heard of creatures for something. I don't quite remember. But the minute you look at them and look away, you forget everything. And they fight by consuming your memories. If they were willing and able to get into the Weaver, might have a threat on our hands, but... From your description, they sound friendly.
Yes, very much keeping a secret or 7, but friendly.
Seem to have known you at the very least. Knew that you were going to be with us. And the mission in question.
My specialty is divination magic. I look into the future. In fact, I tend to go beyond my limits quite frequently. What has happened with this is advanced. Even describing their abilities, doesn't read correctly to me.
Are we sure we want to be bringing such passengers aboard? If they're this powerful to be altering memories, they could be dangerous.
I mean, if they could do so, then why didn't they alter ours?
Indeed, that's where my suspicions tend to get crumpled.
They could have made us.
Well, they very well could have if they said that we've met them before and none of us remember it.
You said it was an accident.
They seem to retract the statement.
Yes.
Such a thing. I have a theory, but such a thing as forbidden magic. It wouldn't be possible. And even if it was, they would be prevented from doing such a thing.
What exactly would be forbidden magic?
Lyra, as a caster, do you recall any of your studies on forbidden magic? You are a studied individual, after all.
Sorry, I'm dying.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Roll a history check
I'm-
when you can.
I'm good. I'm good. Literally, you called my name and I was drinking water. It made me go down the wrong tube.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm not playing this game today.
We were
game-
not taught about forbidden
this game is
magic in our
cursed.
very posh education.
I mean, it makes sense that you wouldn't have been taught about forbidden magic, though. That's why it's forbidden, right?
That's true.
Fair?
Exactly the case, Zuza. Very astute of you. The thing about forbidden magics, you have your necromancies, and you have your blood magics and the sort. The type of thing that is almost unmentionable involve time magics. And while such forbidden magics are more prevalent, especially with the advent of space travel, time magics are actually upheld to an extremely strong degree. Little localizations, your hasting, your slowing, occasionally even delayed fireball, that sort of thing. That type of chronomancy is allowed. But the idea of time traveling is expressly forbidden magics. That is my theory. But if one were to engage in time travel, there are fantasies, there are myths of chronomages. They hunt down individuals who travel through time. Their need for secrecy. They might be time travelers.
Well, they seem kind and, well, relatively trustworthy before we thought about it for too long, but
But let's be fair, we're skeptical of a lot of people.
we are on a place filled with illegal dealings literally day in and day out, including
kinda have to be.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We lied to four people in just our last job. We're not exactly trustworthy ourselves, as Phineas so clearly found out.
Oh yes,
And
honestly,
speaking
I'm still
of-
rather worried about that. But
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be rather difficult to get to the Weaver. You see, the Silvered City, the northernmost segment of the Underside, is controlled by Phineas Drow refugees. Those individuals actually tend to prevent any of Phineas' spies from making their way into the northern quadrant.
Hmm.
That type of thing may not be so easy now, given that you may have aroused Phineas' ire.
Going forward, we'll have to be a lot more discreet then.
Indeed. I will handle communications if you should so desire to reach out, but fortunately a direct face-to-face meeting might not be so easy.
Hmm.
Good to leave for a few days or a week or so, then.
Indeed, I believe you had plans for that.
Let things lie low for a bit, yes.
Well, and he draws out his divination sphere. We are currently here in the galaxy upon the fleet. This entire segment of space, I'd assume from these relative locations, is something of our space as the fleet. We are currently within a nebula, in the middle of a space storm. The fleet stays within this nebula to avoid being seen. If we are to head towards the Chaos Rift, we would want to make our way over towards this star and head relatively space southward.
Space south.
Indeed, it's confusing at first to describe, but I should be able to navigate you within the spaces shown here. Anything within the Fleet's nebula should be a safe region for me to at least direct you in. Anything beyond that in the space storm will be case-by-case scenario.
Hmm.
Very well.
Did you have any preparations you wish to make?
None that you need to concern yourselves about. I think we've disturbed you long enough.
Not at all. In fact, I'm glad to have more fulfilling work, to put it simply.
Oh. Well, happy to oblige. I'm sure we'll be able to produce many problems for you.
And I look forward to attempting to solve them. I suppose it would be best for me to get my rest now.
Of course. Before we do you mind if I have a look at that crystal once more?
Indeed, it is yours for handling. And he hands the crystal off to you.
I will gingerly hold on to it with Mage Hand. Not to keep it too close to me, but at the same distance as I had it before. And I want to focus on it again and see if I get that same feeling I had with it before.
As you bring it close to you, you actually do feel the presence once more, but this time you feel a little bit less strongly. It might be because of your lowered psionic abilities. You haven't had your T as you had previously. But in this case, you do feel it explicitly. It's the presence of a soul.
Do
Like
I
a
feel like
Yankee
it's the same soul?
Oh.
It is. Often the type of thing that would be used to survive ceramorphosis to some degree. As when ceramorphosis occurs, the soul is lost. It's uncertain what happens to it, but it's believed that it's consumed. The Gith, in particular, have made a habit of more prominent members would wear such souls. And once they pass away or had a troubling incident with an illithid, they would deliver this soul crystal to a rift where it is in between spaces and could more easily access the divine realms.
Hmm.
Hmm. Tell me, if I was to at any point interact with this physically, would there be repercussions considering my biology?
No, given that you are of the Gith yourself, it's possible you may even be able to communicate with it, which would be quite unheard of. There's not too many Gith scholars who would be willing to assist in experiments like this, and none with such a precious item.
Oh. Fair enough. I trust that once we get to the rift in question, we will know more of what needs to be done there, correct?
Indeed, I believe that the only request that we've had of us with this was to successfully free the soul. My assumption in what the Weaver wishes to do with it is to extract his own soul into the soul crystal and place himself into a new body.
Something like a soul jar.
Perhaps. As for what would happen with the body, perhaps you take the soul out and you reform the body, then place it back in? The type of thing is far beyond my talents.
But perhaps the talents of the two individuals, however.
You may be onto something. They must have done something to have earned the favor of the Weaver. Especially to have freely given any information, though I imagine they asked for you explicitly.
They did.
More confirmations.
At the very least, we know that there was going to be more than just you, and two more appeared. So, unless there's anyone else claiming to be associates of the Weaver, I don't think we need to necessarily suspect them.
We're getting a little neurotic.
Yeah, I think Discord is having a little bit of an issue.
Oh.
But indeed, perhaps we should look for potentially more allies. Have you considered bringing up a crew? I imagine you are already familiar with some crew members.
We are, although we're a little spread thin at the minute, from my recollection.
If I'm to recall the history of your party together, you, Ashala, are the newest member, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps you reaching out might garner some new faces. Maybe individuals who would be a bit more inclined towards assisting. Anyone that's already aware of the party might be looking to spy from Fania. Getting entirely unfamiliar faces would be more to our benefit, I believe. And the less association, the better.
Very well. I will look into it. And see if we can also see about maybe even finding familiar faces amongst the lot too. if they're willing to travel with us too.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to the individuals you may bring. And rest assured, I will inspect them to see if they might be potentially scrying on us.
Hmm.
Would anyone happen to need anything else from me, or am I free to curl up here and pass away?
I
for-
The
float
only
the
thing
crystal
I
back.
need of you is to see you get some well-needed rest, if you don't mind.
Indeed, that I shall. Well, good day to each of you. And bids a little farewell and begins to kind of settle in.
Naturally, I'll leave them be. If you don't mind, I'm gonna take some time to unwind a little more. Don't think I got the proper rest. I should have done helping spend most of the night repairing Edburn.
No, please take your time. I think this is going to be a bit of a, well, at least a quiet day. We all need a little bit extra rest. Very busy day.
She nods. Meanwhile, have fun with your new toys, Valentine.
I know she will.
Okay, I'll catch you later.
And does anyone want to do anything else as the day begins to reach sort of a midpoint? There's still quite a bit of day to be had.
Maris wrote in the chat just that they're BRB, but they want to do two things before we leave. So,
Okay.
say whenever they are back, we can have him take the lead.
Okay.
Or if nobody else has something. Which I think Lyra may just kind of start to cuddle up with one of the or I think it'd be the wisdom book.
Okay.
And just start to do a little bit of reading on that.
As you look into the wisdom book, you are looking at the stories of a great sage who once traveled the world in search of a wisdom when they were seeking enlightenment. They had studied with all of the major pantheons of the home planet that they had lived on, and they still didn't feel like they had reached the true enlightenment. And they were considered the highest level of proficiency in many major faiths, in fact, almost all of them. But they found that it still just wasn't quite enough. And so they started seeking more of a bond with nature, and that's where the first third of the book tends to end.
Gotcha.
As you all are kind of just settling in and just relaxing for now, Captain Alexander seems to be muttering under his breath, very quietly. And Echo informs everyone that Alexander seems to be coming to some degree.
Immediately go and grab Valentine.
Yeah, I'm back, by the way.
Welcome back.
Who are all of you people?
Oh.
Oh dear.
It's worse than I thought.
It is worse than I. Well, at least he's coherent. He can talk.
Well, yes, I would never have trouble speaking with such fine, wonderful women, of course, but might I ask your names, after all?
Good. He still has his
Flatter.
personality.
Of course, of course.
I love the two attractions in this. It's just like, oh, and oh.
Well, Captain, I myself am Captain Valentine von der Heist, and quite frankly, it would do you very well to not forget that name again.
Captain Valentine von der Heist, and forgive me, you had called me Captain.
I believe it's your name. It might be a legal name thing.
Captain Alexander?
Well, I am Alexander after all, but Captain, it's not quite my sort of thing. I'm more of
You mean
a...
to tell me that you are not a captain?
No, not at all. I'm more of a passenger, as they would say.
I see. Why don't you tell us your story then, Alexander?
Indeed, well, I am the direct heir and last living survivor of my father. He was a wealthy merchant. Used to travel the seas. He was more of the captaining sort. I was just sort of along for the ride.
The thieves, you said.
Indeed.
You mean
fact-
back on your home planet?
Yes, back on the Sword Coast. A planet.
Oh. Yeah, I don't mean to alarm you, but you are currently in space.
He stands up and gives you a smile, like, yes, very entertaining, and then walks over towards the window, and his jaw essentially hits the floor.
Oh, no.
Far from the oceans now, I'm afraid, but I think you'll find the concept very similar.
Good heavens, this is unusual. And his eyes dart everywhere.
You were saying your father was a wealthy merchant?
Yes, after all, he was the only man who had conquered all of the seas, after all. He had set up trade routes through the safest possible segments of the seas, and he knew when all of the storms would occur. Storm singers, they used to call us, actually.
Oh.
Did you have such a gift yourself?
No, not at all. In fact, the only way I knew anything would happen would be when my bones would start to hurt when it would start to rain.
Don't get much rain out here.
He looks over his clothes and seems a bit discomforted. Tell me, have I been wearing these rags for long?
Unfortunately so, yes.
Oh, good
As long
heavens.
as we've
But
known
I've
you,
got
I
a
believe.
wardrobe full of fresh garments if you prefer something else.
Well, Lady Von der Heist, you are far too kind to me. Are you my companions?
Well, we've
Well, we've
traveled
had-
Retainers?
together. No.
We've had business
No.
dealings in the past. We've gone on a few adventures.
I don't mean to be blunt about it, but I would consider us your betters.
Roll a deception check.
I don't know if that's a
Is it
lie.
really deception?
I don't know if that's a lie. Like, I don't
You're
think
saying
she's trying. She's
he
not
has-
trying to trick him into thinking that he works for us. She's just saying, no,
She genuinely
we're definitely
believes that.
better than you.
You'd have to, make a persuasion check, alternatively.
Right?
Fingers crossed.
A dirty 22.
You are our bitch boy.
Let me see if I can find if he has. Let's see what Leecher has put for here. Oh, good heavens.
Oh no.
Oh, good heavens.
Oh, good heavens.
plus, where is the other one? Wait, no, it's not that because. Oh no, it would be. It would be. Which case that would be. Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, better than I would have thought.
yeah.
My, I've been incredibly rude. Please forgive me. And he takes off his hat and gives takes a knee.
Oh,
Hey.
no.
Cock an
Nobles.
eyebrow. I was not expecting that, but you know what?
Nobles on
Honestly,
adventures. Forgive me, it just sounds a bit odd to me.
better than doing
What would make it so
nothing.
odd?
Well, as you know, we're cut from something of a different cloth than others, and we usually send others to do that sort of thing. Though we do have our own types of adventures, I suppose. I've learned a bit about the seas, but space, on the other hand, is... well, space.
Well,
It certainly
apparently we
is.
have a lot to catch you up on.
I see.
Oh, I never told you my name. It's just simply Lyra.
Lyra Vonderheist,
Vonderheist, yeah.
my sister.
Oh, ladies Vonderheist. And he reaches a hand out for both of your hands, just a single hand.
Lyra gestures, considering she can't really do that.
I'll take his hand.
What a sacrifice.
I know. I'll take one for the team.
And he turns towards... Go on.
Oh, I just wanted to add, you're telling me that you truly don't remember a single thing since you were the Third Coast. That's very far away.
Well,
It's
indeed,
in
yes.
always summer, isn't it?
Something of the sort. It's been a while since I've done my reading.
Something of the sort. I'm not quite the geographer myself. Personally, the last thing I remember is... well, I was on the shore. I was gallivanting with a beautiful young man, and a meteor actually fell from the heavens, and I remember walking towards it. Don't remember anything after that.
Does that jog anything loose? I say, pointing to the sword.
Not at all. In fact, I've not quite wielded one. I'm trained in the sort of thing, you see, but I'm certainly no expert. And he draws it just to like show off a little bit, and as soon as the effect goes off, the effect whooshes and envelops him entirely before fading into the ground, and just left with a standard scimitar, and a dark puddle sits next to Alexander.
Oh.
I haven't done something terrible, have I?
Oh, no. You've just answered a question that we were puzzling over. I guess that did make him something of a warlock.
And
All right.
from the dark puddle, a figure begins to rise. Well, isn't this the interesting band we have? And he reaches a hand up and strokes his chin.
Oh.
Who might you be?
I am someone of many names.
We'll
May
settle
we
for one,
perchance,
thank you.
yes, have one. That would be lovely.
You may call me Akan. Uh, Lyra, make a history check.
Oh.
My forbidden magic check. It's gonna work this time.
The forbidden magic that you don't know about.
Yeah. 17.
Hey!
Now.
You actually do recall something. That's a Arcana check, but I guess it's the same thing for you.
Oh, sorry. Did you say history?
Yes, I believe so.
It is the same. Yeah. So my.
In any case, it's the same. It's the same. You actually recall reading in the book of the Dragon Queen that there was mention of a secondary god known as Akan.
Oh.
The description isn't quite the same, but he is, based on appearances and his expression and how he comports himself, it's similar. You imagine it couldn't possibly be the full capital G god Akan.
I'm just gonna kind of like pause a moment, just be like, "Are you the same one from that with the Dragon Queen?"
Ah, the Dragon Queen. Now that's a story I've not heard in quite some time. Tell me, where exactly did you find such a book? And he leans forward right up into your face.
Oh, excuse me, I don't like men that close. But
Men is such a distasteful word. I'm not quite something of that. And he does a little spin, and his hair is much longer, his facial hair is gone, and his features are much more feminine in nature. See, I could be diverse. Spinning back and back into the form that you're most familiar with.
well, I've been traveling the galaxy for quite some time, and have been doing my best to keep up with my research. So it's been a while since I've read the book.
Well, if I had to guess, it would have been approximately about 48 hours. Tilts his head gently.
48 hours since what?
Since you were the Dragon Queen, of course.
How would you know that?
That is how fate works.
Fate?
And he looks over each of the party members individually, and his smirk grows from ear to ear. I think I have found a lovely place to stay, and I am very thankful to you, Mr. Alexander. And he pulls him in and gives him a big kiss, and then disappears into the floor.
Oh. Well.
Well, that was horrifying. I don't know what exactly that was, and if you don't mind...
Was that your pretty male companion you were with before the meteor hit?
No, not at all.
I wonder who it was.
Either way, I hope they pay rent.
I can't say I found it distasteful, but...
So, this sort of thing happen often? Beautiful men just sprouting out of your shadow?
Well, I tend to have beautiful men pursuing me quite often, but not quite of this sort.
I can relate.
That I can imagine.
Well, I don't think that he would take very kindly being called a man, considering... I don't know what he was. Some sort of non-binary creature.
A thing. Oh, well.
I suppose a
No,
thing
not a
might be a
thing, I
bit
suppose.
distasteful for a deity.
Yes. An entity, perhaps. My apologies. My mind is not quite where it should be.
Have you
This
seen
is just
this person
internally
before,
sighing.
Alexander?
No, not at all.
You don't seem the least bit perturbed.
I am incredibly perturbed. In fact, you wouldn't happen to have a spare pair of breeches, would you?
I do, as a matter of fact.
We also have plenty of alcohol if that's your poison as well.
Maybe not right away, but perhaps dinner might be in order first. And he does a little wink towards Lyra.
What a reaction.
My senses are tingling. I'm feeling a disturbance right now. I feel suddenly very violent.
Well, in that case, Alexander, not Captain Alexander, will get you dressed and prepared for dinner. And I'm sure we can, all of us, swap stories because it sounds like we have a lot to figure out, don't we?
That we do indeed.
You don't suppose that a Khan would be joining us, would you? I'm not sure if gods need to eat.
And you see a puddle appear from the ceiling. And his fluffy hair comes poking out along with his closed eyes. Well, if I'm invited.
I like the fact.
I suppose it would be rude to not invite a deity to dinner, so please, do come.
Oh, deity is a formal, please. And
What would you like to be called then?
A guest, then.
I like that. That's a good word. In any case, you, Miss Giff. Yes. You had asked about a rent. Well, I suppose if I am obliged to be paying rent. And he swoops under your shoes and is now within your shadow in particular.
Oh.
What have
And
I
you
done?
feel an unusual twist of fate in your direction. You're uncertain of what, but you have gained an inspiration.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's
Okay,
quite
yeah,
cozy in here. I think I'll stay for just a little bit.
Oh.
Oh, good heavens.
Yo.
Evil men distributing swords.
Well, it's no system for a basis of government, but it's always fun to mess with things in your own way.
Well, there's no government here, so...
Oh, how
not bad, I
delightful.
suppose.
When's the last time something blew up recently? 24 hours?
Oh.
5
Actually,
minutes?
not
20
not
seconds?
too far away, yes.
Oh, I'm going to have much more fun here.
All right, we can all agree, keep him away from checks, yes?
Yes.
The kobold!
Oh,
Oh dear.
you were there for that. Wonderful.
I know many. In any case, don't mind me. And he disappears.
Oh.
Trying very hard to not mind.
He certainly seems to know a lot about us.
I suppose that is a very godlike thing. Awareness. Omniscience.
As long as it does not interfere with my meditations, that's all I care for.
You get no response from your shadow.
Oh, now he's feeling sheepish, I see.
In the distance, you hear the baaing of a sheep.
I feel like a sheep has been purchased.
What a strange sensation.
Well, while Alexander equips himself of some new attire, I'm gonna go back to what I was originally planning to do.
Oh, of course. We're sorry for disturbing you.
No, not at all. And besides, I have such a nice view while I'm here.
It is rather beautiful, isn't it?
Quite, she says, looking at you, giving a bit of a smug smile before walking out the door.
Alexander turns to the two of you. I quite like that one.
The newest addition to our entourage. We're quite fond of her.
That I can understand. Now then, don't mind me. I may have some things to look into. And is invited towards your wardrobe. Valentine, you said you had two things you wish to do.
Yeah. So one of which being she wants to compose a letter. So assuming that with all of this happening, people disperse and go about their business, Valentine will take a quiet moment, distinctly wanting a moment to herself to write this particular letter. And it's just very simply going to be addressed by name not to her mother. And I mean that by she writes out her name, not dear mother. And it just says very simply, I'm going to fix everything. And signs it very simply, V. And she will try to go into town and very discreetly send off that letter.
You actually are able to find some individuals at the Black Meteor Guild who specialize in that sort of thing. Would you like that delivered by hand or delivered magically?
Magically, if you don't mind, and with the greatest expediency.
Indeed, that I can do. And the slightly older orc wizard goes ahead and takes your letter and sort of folds it up and presses it to his head. And you see a little sphere shoot out from his head off into space. A response should be forthcoming.
How long does it usually take for a response?
He holds up a finger, and a sphere comes careening through and ends up directly in his forehead, and you see a little singe mark. And he... In any case.
Oh, very quick.
We need to speak soon. In person. H.
Ah. That will be difficult.
Well, I trust that this won't be any sort of issue for you and not concerning. Please do take care. And he gives a sort of nod, as the service is in fact free.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Of course, come back anytime.
And the other thing that she wanted to do was to go to her blacksmith friend and...
Cole.
Yes, and have him take a look at this new enormous weapon that I've been gifted.
It's weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
As you as you take this, as you walk into his space, He sort of gives you a look. Yes, Valentine. Good to see you again. What do you have for me today? And you slam this massive hunk of metal on the table.
I have a project for you, Mr. Cole.
This isn't a genuine bolter, is it?
I believe it is, as a matter of fact.
Well, I'm sorry to say that, unfortunately, it's outside the realm of my possibility. It's not quite my
Nonsense. You're the
experience.
most capable person I know.
Well, I know someone who might be able to do it for you, but getting you a real introduction might be, not so easy.
And why would that be?
Well, you see, he's finest blacksmith this side of the galaxy, so getting his assistance might be troublesome. He's very picky with his clients.
I see.
Expensive is maybe enough to get your foot in the door.
Well, one can't know unless they try. Where can I find him?
Well, if you head on down to the underside and you head towards the Dwarven Quarter, you'll head into the biggest smoke-spilling stack you'll see. Dwarven Forge. A man by the name of, I don't quite remember what he goes by these days. It's been a minute. If I had to remember, he's Isam Bard. Might have pronounced that a bit wrong.
Istenfard.
Isam Bard.
Isanbard.
Yeah, something like that.
I see. And how did you come to know him? Did you apprentice under him?
Oh, indeed I did. Ain't no smith finer than him. Though I hear he's got a new apprentice as of recent. I haven't seen him back since my old Federation days. We used to serve together.
I see. Well, thank you for that bit of information. Although, for what it's worth, as far as I'm concerned, you are the finest blacksmith in this galaxy.
Well, I appreciate that, darling. In any case, if you have anything else for me, I might have some wares to show you. Interesting stuff might have popped in.
Well, unfortunately, I'm on a bit of a tight schedule at the moment. There's not a lot of time to peruse. But I will certainly be back in the near future after a few pocket-filling adventures.
I see. Well, I appreciate that, young miss. In any case, go talk to, if you ever talk to Simbard, let him know old Cole sent you. Maybe he'll be a bit more inclined to listen then.
I will. Thank you, Cole. And she lugs up the gun.
Be careful, Dad. It might. Don't let it discharge, you know. It might blow a hole to the underside.
Worry.
Alright, well, see y'all soon. And he waves you off with his mechanical hand.
I think for now, she might hold off on going to the underside just because with everything that's going on. So
Indeed.
I think with that she will return to the others.
Just as a bit of a note for the party, one of the offerings that the Weaver provided towards the party was speaking to the chief dwarf smith some time ago.
Oh, so we found a work around that one.
That one has actually been waiting for quite some time.
That's wonderful.
In any case, does anyone have anything else they'd like to do? Charlotte, you had something you'd like to do, yes?
Yeah. having established a connection from her last meditation before, she would like to reconvene with it, see if either things have changed or if she can get a stronger sense of what this connection is specifically.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a intelligence check.
Ooh, and you know what? I think it makes sense. She's gonna burn incense, and by incense I mean weed.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So I'll initiate the modifier, and it was, you said it was wisdom, right?
You could use intelligence if your intelligence is higher.
Oh, and yeah, we can do intelligence. That's currently higher at the minute. So, and just a flat ability check, yeah.
Yes.
13, and I think +1 from the wisp weed, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, so 14.
14. Are you taking hold of the psionic crystal?
I specifically gave the psionic crystal back to I can't remember his name because he has so many, and we know
Randall
two.
is the most
Randall.
recent. Yes.
There we go. I believe I gave the crystal back to Randall.
Yes.
So right now this is mostly purely of her own capabilities, purely.
As you find yourself reaching out into the depths of space, you feel that something is reaching back.
Hmm.
Do you want to press into this connection?
I do.
Make me a intelligence saving throw.
Intelligence saving throw. And would that be with the +1 from the Wispweed?
Yes.
Okay. So 26.
26. You feel that presence you felt the very first time. It's absolutely monstrous. It is overwhelming all of your senses with just nothing. It is just pure dark. And you're almost discomforted entirely. And you feel a presence that is almost pulling you towards it. But you also feel the memory from that one place. Would you like to continue pressing towards the entity or pressing towards the memory?
The memory was, if I recall correctly, of, I believe it was like a viewpoint of I think it's like, I remember like a viewpoint of like of being in like from the side of a Githyank, another Gith, I believe.
It was what you believe to be your younger self and what you assume to be your mother.
Then I'd say the memory.
Go ahead and roll me another intelligence check. Oh, save.
Intelligence check. Save.
Check.
Check. Okay. Okay. Check. There you go. So 11 this time.
And in this case, you find the memory is easy to reach to. You feel it drawing you back once more. And you find yourself in a grand silver hall. You're very, very young at this point. And you see several Githyanki men adorned in silvered armor. You can see several red dragons circling in the sky. And you see the face of that woman once more. And she walks you up a very, very long path and seems to present you to a absolutely massive Gith man. As he reaches out to hold you, his one hand is enough to hold you entirely. Her name. What is her name? Ashala. Ashala is to be her name. Ashala. Very strong. And he hands you back to the woman. You feel a bit of a drift, and you're somewhat older now. You're in a place that's very, very different. There's a swirling of psionic energies around you, and people don't use words here. They speak entirely using their minds. The air is extremely fresh and crisp, and thoughts actually pass through the air itself. You can almost hear every conversation, but it's not chaotic. It's very orderly, and it's comforting. You feel like you're in a community that you're safe within. And you see the woman is waiting at a temple, seeming just watching you from a distance. You have full control of yourself at this present moment.
And we're in the temple at the minute, right? Or she's near the temple
She's
from where I am.
She's just outside the temple waiting by the door, and you are just sort of out in the sort of grassy fields. You actually notice that all of the plants nearby you are actually the exact thing that you have been utilizing to help you in your meditations.
Huh. I would like to turn back to the temple, seeing that this lady's waiting for me, seemingly, or watching. I approach not really briskly, more like I want to say casually so. But with an air of caution, as I look up at this temple in particular, studying the architecture of its structures and seeing if there's any grand depictions, as one would expect of a church.
In this case, you find that it's a grand structure that doesn't feature any iconography, but in the center place is a very large psionic crystal, almost like the one that you had handled previously. And it seems to be adorned in silver. It seems that that crystal, you're assuming, might have made this entire place. And you begin to recognize that this must be some type of Gith rift.
Something completely separate. Who?
You're not quite certain if this is the one that's been calling to you, but it is a rift regardless.
Have you been the one that's been calling me?
Well, of course. It's almost time to go home.
Home?
Indeed.
And what would that be?
The woman seems to drift off for a second, as if pondering the question herself.
someplace warm, someplace comforting.
Hmm.
You're bright for your age.
And a gentle hand reaches and rubs the side of your face.
Aw.
This place feels like a dream.
One could say it is a dream.
For us?
But that would imply that we will wake up one day. Perhaps it is good to rest, to take in your thoughts for a moment, as they will tell you things.
Hmm.
And she reaches a hand down to hold yours.
Am I special to you?
You see a smile appear. And the woman speaks in more specific Gith than you remember, so it takes you a bit to remember. But she says, Zak vo infinjush. And you struggle to remember. It's been so long since you've spoken explicitly Gith, but your understanding is that it's essentially source of my joy.
Aw.
Okay, I'm done. Oh, that hit hard. Goodness. I think at this point, Ashala will probably start to feel very emotional all of a sudden. And I think would start to cry as well.
As you feel the emotions start to take you and you tear up in your dream, you see a hand reach down and wipe away the tears, and as they wipe the tears, the vision begins to fade as well. And you snap awake. The incense has burned out, and it is late in the evening.
Can't believe Ollie's trying to make us cry. Live in 4K.
I need to go back there. I need to know what happened. And why can't I remember?
You feel like you know that place a bit better now. And you feel like if you needed to reach that place, it would be almost effortless at this point. You've formed not only a physical solidification of that place, but now you have formed a mental bond with that place as well. You're taking the time now to try and remember the little details. And you recall your first vision in the collapsing structure. You begin to realize that that collapsing structure where you were left the first time is that same place. But you were given that mysterious object. You can't quite remember what it was, but it was heavy and solid. but you're certain that that was the same temple.
Do I get the idea that it could be close to where we're going with the rift?
Make an intelligence check with advantage.
Intelligence with advantage.
Natural
Crit.
20. You try and hone in on the map that you remember in your memory. The one that you had been shown by Randall. And when he described the location of the rift, you get the impression that the only place that it could have been in the galaxy would have been in that same location. And you're almost certain if you could go back there, you would come to the bottom of all of this.
We need to go back there.
And I think that is where we will end our session for today. Thank you all so much for coming along.
Well, thank you for making us cry.
Let's see.
I'm sure we'll all get our turn with crying.
Oh, for sure.
Let's go and see. I don't have too many people live. Does anyone have any suggestions?
Radical Mari is celebrating her birthday.
That could work.
Alright,
Send me that name, please.
I'm putting it in Roll20 chat.
Where's my roll 20? There it is. Okay, we are going to be rating Radical Mari, who is celebrating their birthday, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll go say hello and wish them a very, very happy birthday. We will see you all for our next Comet Tales adventure in 2 weeks. That's our next stream. I don't quite know when. We'll figure it out. But as always, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to everyone for coming to play. You all make this wonderful story possible. It is you guys who really write the story here. I'm just the guy who lets you play in the sandbox, and I'm very, very happy I can provide.
Thank you, DM.
Thank you.
Thank
No.
you.
We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.